Chapter 211. The road to the Yellow Springs was filled with thunderbolts. The river of magma flowed, and countless strands of skyfire soared into the sky. Thunder and lightning crackled, blazing skyfire. And because of the extreme heat, a thick blazing red cloud formed above the river. The road to the Yellow Springs, which was only a meter wide, and connected the two sides of the river of magma, was a lonely road. Skyfire. Even celestial immortals don't dare to rashly touch skyfire. Qinyu was terrified. The color of the flames changed from low to high. Qinyu's stellar true flame was only a deep azure color, close to violet. Skyfire was violet, and its power was so great that even the fleshly body of a celestial immortal wouldn't dare to rashly block it. Thunder and lightning. Every single bolt of lightning was azure in color, and every single bolt of lightning was more powerful than the final bolt of lightning, which Qinyu had faced during his 6 and 9 heavenly tribulation. Qinyu believed that as long as a single bolt of lightning struck his body, he would be dead. Immortal Emperor Ai Yang actually created such a huge spectacle. Can it be that he truly enjoys killing? Qinyu's heart was filled with rage. Skyfire. Given my level of cultivation, if I were to be struck by it, my fleshly body would definitely be reduced to ash. Even the last bolt of lightning was so difficult to face. Judging from the color of the lightning, it should be even more terrifying than the final bolt of lightning. Qinyu didn't know what to say at all. Qinyu still remembered what Immortal Emperor Ai Yang had said. The Peach Blossom Spring was extremely safe, but once one entered, one would not be able to leave. Only when one ascended would one be able to leave. He wants me to live my entire life in the Peach Blossom Spring, overcome the 9 and 9 heavenly tribulation, and then ascend to the immortal realm? Is that even possible? Although Qinyu was afraid of the dangers of the road to the Yellow Springs, when he thought of his family, his brothers, his royal father, his 2 elder brothers, the callous, constantly training bitterly, Xiao He, that carefree Ho Fei, and that beautiful figure in his heart, could he give up on her? The road to the Yellow Springs. With a grave and stern look in his eyes, Qinyu suddenly gave a self-deprecating laugh. Perhaps my power is at the bottom of the list of people who have to go through this road to the Yellow Springs. The only honor is Lu Xing's tears. Immediately after, Qinyu walked past the Yellow Springs Road stele and sat cross-legged beside the riverbank. He was preparing to charge through the Yellow Springs Road. Of the 9 and 9 heavenly tribulations of the heavenly tribulation, Blue heavenly tribulation. Of the moment, madam, of the heavenly tribulation of the heavenly tribulation spring. But she of heavenly of heaven of, she of the heavenly tribulations, of the of heaven, of the of heaven, of the of her, of the of heaven, of the of immortal of them, of the hat of reverend of it, of her the, of the end, of her of heaven, of immortal to the end was to use, was, 3 to the end used by to the end, of the to the end, of it of s, a treasure more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Madame Yanji's eyes flash with a tinge of fierceness. No matter what, this is my only hope to become a top-level loose devil. Wealth comes from danger. If I become a low-level loose devil, I'll just die. Madame Yanji looks in the direction of the Peach Blossom Spring and gives a cold laugh. Even if I stay in this Peach Blossom Spring, each loose immortal heavenly tribulation will become more and more powerful. If I stay here all by myself, it'll be hard to say whether I'll be able to survive all the loose immortal heavenly tribulations and ascend. Instead of wasting my time here, I'd better go out and fight for that only chance to turn things around. Let's risk it all. Madame Yanji immediately sits down with legs crossed and starts to take pills to recover her power. Her injuries are really too severe. If her power recovers a bit, her chances of survival will increase a bit. Looking at that purple heavenly flame and various blue heavenly thunderbolts soaring into the sky, Yenmo's pupils cannot help contracting slightly. Life, death. In the wilderness, he has wandered between life and death countless times. Of course he is not afraid of death. If he were, how could he have betrayed the dragon clan and entered the wilderness to fight for his life without obeying the orders of the higher-ups of the dragon clan to live a life with a backer? Chance. Cold light flashes through Yin Mo's eyes. Without any hesitation, he walks straight past the steel of the road to the underworld, then sits down firmly with legs crossed on a safe riverbank. He stops moving. He calmly waits for the moment to break through the road to the underworld. Facing all this, everybody has their own choice. Especially after seeing the terrors of this road to the underworld, they are faced with the choice of life or death. Some people choose to enter the road to the underworld, while others choose to go to the Peach Blossom Spring to live a quiet life. For example, the 3 late Duja stage experts of the Dragon Clan. Ascension is the only chance to leave the Peach Blossom Spring. However, the 3 experts of the Dragon Clan are all in the late Duja stage, and are only 1 step away from the Dashang stage to ascend. Therefore, they do not want to make unnecessary sacrifices. They only need to stay in the Peach Blossom Spring for a period of time, until they reach the Dashang stage and ascend. 2 hours have passed. Congratulations on choosing the road to the underworld. Haha. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's voice rises between heaven and earth. Everyone who chose to step onto the road to the Yellow Springs opened their eyes. At this moment, the narrow path connecting the road to the Yellow Springs and the Peach Blossom Spring had already disappeared. Behind them, there was only an endless amount of dense clouds. At this moment, they couldn't even regret it. Congratulations, Damien G says with a cold laugh. This immortal Emperor Inai Yang's character really can't be judged by common sense. Qin Yu gives a helpless smile. Since he entered the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion until now, everybody knows about Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's insidiousness. He even congratulates them for choosing the road to the underworld, which is full of ridicule and teasing. Just now I said that only 1 out of 10 people can survive on the road to the underworld. In fact, this is not absolute. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang now says gently, that's only a rough possibility. Maybe 1 or 2 more of you will survive. Of course, it's also possible that everybody will die. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's voice does not sound concerned at all. Everybody's heart is shaken. Everybody will die. Qin Yu's eyes flash with fierceness. This immortal Emperor Inai Yang is playing with us. Even though this road to the underworld seems to be very dangerous and has no chance of survival, Immortal Emperor Inai Yang said at the beginning that only 1 out of 10 people can survive. Moreover, everybody thinks that Immortal Emperor Inai Yang wants at least 1 person to survive to get the treasure, so everybody is staking their hope. But now Immortal Emperor Inai Yang has said that there may be no hope at all. If you all die and nobody gets the real treasure of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, those 9 jade swords of mine will fly out of the mansion again and scatter everywhere. I'll wait for future people to enter the mansion and get my treasure. When Immortal Emperor Inai Yang says to hear, there is a faint smile on his face. But Qin Yu, Damien Ji, Yen Mo, Old Taoist Gansu, Huakin, none of them is smiling, but their hearts are ice cold. Stepping on the road to the underworld will probably lead to everybody's death. The winding, narrow path has already disappeared. It's useless to regret it. Haha. As the saying goes, once you enter the road to the underworld, your life and death are controlled by heaven. Juniors, good luck to you. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang laughs out loud complacently. It seems he is very happy, because he has made fun of everybody. The faces of Qin Yu, Damien Ji, Old Taoist Gansu and the others all become unsightly. Everybody is on the riverbank, and has not stepped on the road to the underworld. After all, the heavenly flame and the heavenly thunderbolts are a bit too dense. Once you enter the road to the underworld, your life and death are controlled by heaven. Qin Yu shakes his head, then takes a step onto the road to the underworld. There's already no way back. However, when Qin Yu takes a step onto the road to the underworld, Qin Yu feels as if his entire body is being pressed down by a large mountain. The gravity is so great that even with his tough body, he kneels down on the ground in an instant. The bones and tendons in his entire body make crackling sounds. His hands immediately support himself on the ground. The blue veins on his forehead bulge out. So heavy. At the moment Qin Yu does not even dare to breathe. He is afraid that if his breath weakens, his entire body will be pressed down. That immortal Emperor Inai Yang didn't deceive us when he said that. Qin recalls what Immortal Emperor Yang said to him. Juniors, don't think you can pass through with speed. When you step on the road to the underworld, you'll find it difficult to move as if your body is being pressed down by a large mountain. Don't think that the more powerful you are, the greater the gravity will be. Everyone, no matter whether they're Jean Dan stage or 12th tribulation loose immortals, will move slowly on this bridge like a tortoise. Move slowly like a tortoise? Now I really have to move like a tortoise. Qin gives a forced smile in his mind. However, the golden stellar energy in his body has completely run through every part of his body. Only after the energy in his entire body bursts out does Qin stand up with great difficulty. 1 step, 2 steps. His speed is extremely slow. Qin entire body starts to sweat. Not only because the gravity is too great, but also because the heat in this place is too high. Below him is the river formed by the heavenly flame lava. Sometimes the heavenly flame rushes up. Whoosh! A purple flame rushes past in front of Qin. That blazing energy makes Qin entire body have a kind of melting feeling. Heavenly flame, such a powerful heavenly flame? This is too much. That Immortal Emperor Yang simply wasn't completely fair. With my power, I reckon I can't even resist a single heavenly flame. A single heavenly flame is enough to turn me into ashes. Qin is anxious in his heart. However, like a tortoise, he moves very slowly. Luckily, the heavenly flame's speed is not too fast. Qin still has time to judge. However, the heavenly flame's speed is not fast. Qin speed is even slower. Even if he discovers that the heavenly flame is about to rush over, he also needs to have enough speed to dodge. Boom! A heavenly lightning strikes in front of Qin. It almost strikes Qin. Qin only feels that his entire back is covered in cold sweat. However, that cold sweat is instantly evaporated by the terrifying temperature above the road to the underworld. This heavenly lightning reminds Qin that not only is the heavenly flame terrifying, even the heavenly lightning can easily kill him. This heavenly flame lava river is not too wide. It is less than 100 meters. In other words, the road to the underworld that connects the two sides of the heavenly flame lava river is also less than 100 meters. It sounds very short, but in reality, it looks both narrow and long. Especially for Qin and the others, who can only move like a tortoise, this less than 100 meters is really too long. That's when Qin is paying attention to the surrounding heavenly flame and heavenly lightning. When he is moving slowly with difficulty, he suddenly glimpses the road to the underworld in the distance. Because the heavenly flame lava river is extremely hot, there is a dense red cloud above it. The red cloud floats above the river and is about the same height as the road to the underworld. At that moment, the red cloud floats. Through the sparse red cloud, Qin sees a similar road to the underworld in the distance. And Qin is on that road to the underworld. Even though his strength is much higher than Qin Qin still moves slowly like a tortoise. Ah! Qin expression changed. He suddenly saw 3 heavenly flames soar into the sky and rush towards Qin. Although Qin noticed the 3 heavenly flames, the heavenly flames are not flying very fast. At that moment, Qin can only move like a tortoise. The 3 heavenly flames intersected. If Qin takes a step forward, he will die. If he takes a step back, he will also die. There is only an angry and unwilling roar. The heavenly flames burn Qin's body. In just a moment, Qin, who has always wanted to avenge his brother, is burned to ashes by the heavenly flames on the road to the underworld. Qin is dead. Qin's heart trembles. In terms of strength, Qin is much stronger than me. However, in front of the heavenly flames, especially when the 3 heavenly flames rush up, Qin is simply unable to dodge. After all, the gravity on his body is too great. He is almost unable to move. Just like that, he helplessly and unwillingly watches as he is burned to death. Just as Qin is shocked by Qin's death, and paying attention to Qin's death, the crisis of death has already enveloped him. 2 heavenly flames, almost parallel to each other, erupt from the heavenly flame magma and shoot diagonally towards the sky. It just so happens to rush towards Qin's back. According to this route, even if Qin takes a step back or a step forward, he will still be attacked by the heavenly flames. Huaqian is dead. Be careful, be careful. The string in Qin Yu's heart is pulled even tighter. Be careful. He must be careful. No matter if it is the heavenly lightning or the heavenly flames, he must be careful. He must try his best to fight for that trace of hope. At that moment, the heavenly flames are shooting diagonally towards the sky. Even with Qin Yu's tortoise speed, he can't dodge in time. Suddenly, the sound of wind is heard. Qin Yu's complexion changes. Almost reflexively, Qin Yu gives up resisting the terrifying gravity. In an instant, Qin Yu's entire body is pressed down by the terrifying gravity to the limit. The speed at which he is pressed down is astonishing. It is as if his body is being hammered by a large iron hammer. Whoosh! The two heavenly flames fly by 3 or 4 inches above Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu opens his eyes wide and looks at the heavenly flames that almost took his life. Cold sweat seeps out from the tip of Qin Yu's nose, but it is instantly evaporated by the blazing heat. Having narrowly escaped death, luckily Qin Yu reacted quickly at the end. Even though this terrifying gravitational force restricted his movements, it saved him at that moment, because the gravitational force was too great. Once Qin Yu gave up resisting, the speed at which he was pressed down on the ground was also astonishingly fast. Until now I have only walked 7 or 8 meters. Lying on the Yellow Springs Road, Qin Yu raises his head with difficulty to resist the terrifying gravity. Looking at the road ahead, he feels that it is so far away. Just as Qin Yu clenches his teeth and gathers the strength in his body to stand up again, Qin Yu sees from the corner of his eyes that a heavenly lightning is striking towards him at a terrifying speed. When he is standing, he can rely on the terrifying gravity to lie down like lightning. But when he lies down, can he still dodge? Chapter 212. Like a sharp arrow, that thunderbolt directly strikes down. Qin Yu, who is subjected to a terrifying gravitational force, is simply unable to move to dodge. According to Qin Yu's estimation at that moment, this thunderbolt is probably striking towards Qin Yu's head. Bang! Feeling a vibration, Qin Yu stares at a place only 3 centimeters away from his head. That was close. I almost lost my life. Qin Yu is lying on his stomach on the road of hell. Just now, that thunderbolt unexpectedly struck between his head and his right arm. It is unknown what the road of hell is made of, but the thunderbolt almost did not damage it at all when it was struck. I almost forgot that the thunderbolts of this road of hell are not the thunderbolts of the heavenly tribulation. The thunderbolts of the heavenly tribulation strike towards the person undergoing the tribulation and cannot be dodged. However, the thunderbolts of this road of hell strike down aimlessly. Moreover, the range of their radiation is also not wide. Qin Yu immediately sees a chance of survival. The road of hell is made of a peculiar material. When a thunderbolt strikes down, it only leaves a slight mark on the road of hell like a knife. Moreover, this road of hell is not conductive. When the thunderbolts strike it, they do not travel around and harm the people on the road of hell. Moreover, the attack range of a thunderbolt is only several centimeters. However, even though the attack range is small, there are thunderbolts above and heavenly flames below. The most important thing is that there are too many of them. Moreover, the people walking on this road of hell will have to bear a terrifying gravitational force and move forward slowly like a turtle. It will also take a very long time to cross the road of hell. If they are struck by the thunderbolts or burned by the heavenly flames, they will definitely die. Cautiously, the energy and muscle power in their bodies burst forth to resist that frightening gravitational force. However, Qin Yu's attention is completely focused on the heavenly flames and thunderbolts around him. His ears are also carefully listening to the sounds, judging whether there is a heavenly flame coming from behind or not. Step by step, Qin Yu moves forward slowly and cautiously, between life and death. Under the attacks of the heavenly flames and thunderbolts, he moves forward slowly like a turtle. Not only is Qin Yu very cautious, at the moment the other people entering the road of hell are also very nervous. None of them dares to be distracted in the slightest. If there is one person among them who is the calmest on the road of hell, it would be Yen Mo. Yen Mo's face was cold, and his eyes were shining. He was paying attention to everything around him. No matter what, I have to break through. A bloody light flashed in Yenmo's eyes. As a descendant of the dragon race, he naturally knew how powerful the dragon race was. However, he had betrayed the dragon race. He was arrogant and didn't want to be ordered around by others. Succeed or die trying. Although the heavenly fire is powerful and attacking from below, especially from behind, it is very dangerous. However, the heavenly fire's speed is not fast. If it was from behind, he could determine the location just from the sound alone. Although the heavenly lightning is fast and powerful, its attack range is extremely small. If you are careful, you won't be struck to death. Strangely, Yenmo's body was moving forward at a perfectly even speed. A bolt of heavenly lightning struck down. Yenmo, who had been moving slowly, suddenly blushed. The power in his body suddenly rose to its peak. He gathered all his strength in his right arm and swung it away. His body swayed naturally. There should be about a centimeter difference. It should be a safe distance. That bolt of heavenly thunder almost grazes Yenmo's waist. It is only about 1 centimeter away from his waist. Yenmo's calculation ability has reached a frightening level, because he has often fought between life and death. Even though the gravity is so great that Yenmo is walking very slowly, it is not so great that everybody can't bear it. Since he can bear it, he can increase his strength a bit at the most important moment by risking his life. That tiny bit of energy can be used to save his life. The heavenly fire is a bit easier to dodge, but the heavenly lightning is a bit more difficult. Yenmo's eyes are ice cold, and without any fluctuation, he continues to move forward at a uniform speed. He is like a slowly moving viper. At a dangerous moment, he only needs to move a bit to avoid being hit in his vital parts. Yenmo has unexpectedly crossed the distance of 20 m very safely. If this continues, Yenmo is the one most likely to succeed. However, no good. Yenmo's face changes color. There is a dense red cloud above the river of heavenly fire and the lava. Its height is about the same as the road to hell. However, at the moment, a large area of red cloud has unexpectedly floated to Yenmo's location. This cloud covers the surroundings of his body. The visibility in the sky immediately drops. This cloud is too dense. I can't see the distant heavenly lightning at all. Even though I can see the heavenly lightning at close range, it'll be too late to dodge when I see it. Even at the moment, Yenmo is still very calm. What can he do when the red cloud floats above his head? Blame heaven and earth. He'd better accept everything and think of a solution according to the current situation. I can only rely on my luck. Yenmo watches the surroundings carefully. His eyes seem to penetrate the dense red cloud. Yenmo moves forward cautiously like this. As time goes by, Yenmo gradually walks out of the range of this red cloud. Various heavenly lightning strikes down. Several of them strike around Yenmo's body. One of them even brushes past the corner of Yenmo's eye. I've finally come out. When Yenmo walks out of the red cloud, he feels a bit relaxed. However, at this moment, out of the corner of his eye, he notices that there is unexpectedly another road to hell 100 m away on his right side. There is also a person on that road to hell, Azure Dragon Yenlang. It's Yenlang. He's also persisted this far. Yenmo gives a faint smile. He focuses his attention on the heavenly lightning and heavenly fire around him. He has no extra energy to care about other people. Ah! A miserable cry is heard. Yenmo's face changes color. He slightly looks to his right. Yenlang, who was on the road to hell just now, has unexpectedly disappeared. That Yellow Springs road was actually all alone and empty. There wasn't a single person on it. Yenlang is dead. Yenmo's heart is shocked. He does not know what kind of feeling this is. In the past, even though he was nearly possessed by the devil in the hallucinatory magic land, he still got into action to help Azure Dragon. Who could have thought that Azure Dragon, who did not die because of Yenmo's help, would now die on the road to hell? Yenmo's eyes flash with coldness. His face seems to be covered with a layer of cold air. He keeps going forward. Heavenly fire on the left. Yenmo's ears twitch. His body relaxes in the blink of an eye, and he gives up resisting the gravity. In an instant, his entire body is pressed down by the gravity. However, a heavenly fire shoots over his body from the left side. When he stands up, he unexpectedly discovers that there is another road to hell on his left side in the distance. The person on that road to hell is none other than an old acquaintance, Old Taoist Gansu. It seems that Old Taoist Gansu has gone a bit further than Yen-mo, because he has already covered half of the distance. However, at this moment, 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings above Yen-mo unexpectedly shoot straight at him. Some of them shoot in front of him, some shoot behind him, and some shoot at his body. In short, at this moment, the group of heavenly lightnings has surrounded Yen-mo completely. It can be said that he is definitely going to die. It is not that several heavenly lightnings have never struck down at the same time, but several heavenly lightnings have struck at the only person on the road to hell. Moreover, they have surrounded him so cleverly. This is God's will to kill him. At the moment, Yen-mo's face changes color greatly. With a rumbling sound, 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings strike at that place directly. However, Yen-mo's figure is no longer there at the moment. It can only be seen that a black dragon over 100 m long has unexpectedly completely coiled around that road to hell. The dragon's body is extremely long and is twisting and turning like a rope. Naturally, some of the dragon's body is above the road to hell, and some of the dragon's body is below it. However, Yen-mo's original position just happens to be below the road to hell, so the 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings only hit empty air. In the blink of an eye, the huge dragon body turns into a human body in the blink of an eye. Yen-mo, who is extremely calm, now has beads of sweat oozing out of his forehead. This is too dangerous. Even though he can rely on this move to dodge the heavenly lightnings after turning into a dragon, the dragon's body is very long, so naturally the area it will be attacked is also very large. Just now Yen-mo's calculation was too precise. He immediately turned into a dragon, right before the heavenly lightnings were about to hit him, and turned back into a human body, right after those 6 or 7 heavenly lightnings struck him. Moreover, the position where the dragon's body is coiled is also determined according to the surrounding heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames at that moment. Even so, because the dragon's body is too big, it is still very possible for him to be hit. However, in the face of death, Yen-mo risks everything. What he risks is a slim chance of survival. Just for a moment, Yen-mo turns into a dragon, and then into a human body in the blink of an eye. At that moment he succeeded. The position where he coiled just so happened to avoid danger. Moreover, because the time was too short, he was unexpectedly not hit by the heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames. This is not only because of his calculation ability and calmness, but also because of his luck. At the moment, Yen-mo is still calm, and moves forward slowly step by step. Just now, the chance of the group of heavenly lightnings striking the only person on the road to hell is very low. It has already been extraordinary for it to happen once. For it to happen a second time is almost impossible. However, Yen-mo still does not dare to slack off in the slightest, because slack is equivalent to committing suicide. Dame Yen-ji has suffered a big loss. Her original calculation was very perfect. Since there are so many heavenly lightnings and heavenly flames, the smaller her body is, the more advantageous it will be for her. She immediately changed into the appearance of a little child and prepared to charge into that dangerous road to hell. But she was wrong. Even though her disguise technique is pretty good, no matter what kind of expert she is, when she changes into another appearance, she is still most familiar with her own body. Only by using her own body can she exert the most power. After changing into a child's body, Dame Yen-ji can still exert 80% of her power. However, the gravity is naturally determined according to her power. Theoretically, Dame Yen-ji can only walk with great difficulty if she uses all her strength. Now that she has changed into a child's body, she can't even walk. Because she stopped after changing into a child, a heavenly thunderbolt struck her. A heavenly thunderbolt comparable to a 9 from 9th Heaven Tribulation. Luckily, Dame Yen-ji is not as powerful as Qin Yu and the others. She can't even bear a single strike. Unexpectedly, Dame Yen-ji withstood a heavenly thunderbolt and changed into her own body in the blink of an eye. Only in this way can she exert 100% of her power. To resist this gravity, not only does she have to use her own power, she also needs to exert her physical strength. This is because the gravity of this impasse set by immortal Emperor in Yang is determined according to the sum of one's power and physical strength. This is also the reason why Qinyu, Yin Mo and the others have such tough bodies, but they still find it so difficult to move. After withstanding a heavenly thunderbolt, part of the power Dame Yenji recovered by taking holy pills on the bank of the heavenly fire lava river has been consumed again. Therefore, it has become even more difficult for her to move forward. She has had a very hard time walking all this way. But apart from the first time she made a mistake, she hasn't made any mistakes for almost half of the journey. Not making any mistakes doesn't mean Dame Yenji's path is simple. She has also encountered many dangers along the way. At the moment, Dame Yenji has only one arm. The reason why she has only one arm is because 3 or 4 heavenly flames attack her from all sides when she is about 20 to 30 m away. Even though she can dodge 1 or 2 heavenly flames, there are too many of them. At the beginning, Dame Yenji risked her life. In the end, she was still hit by a heavenly flame. Heavenly flames are very strange. Once they touch the body, they will burn all parts of the body and extend further. Even immortals and devils do not dare to resist heavenly flames easily. Now, even though Dame Yenji is a level 1 devil, she is seriously injured. She simply does not have the confidence to use her own power to resist heavenly flames. At that moment, she immediately cuts off her arm at the shoulder, abandoning the arm that has been hit by heavenly flames. The bodies of loose immortals and loose devils are formed by condensing energy, so it is very easy to cut them off. After cutting off her arm, Dame Yenji does not want to waste her energy to condense an arm. After all, power is very important at the moment. Moreover, she has lost an arm, so the area of attack is somewhat smaller. Various experts such as Yin Mo, Ida, Qinyu, Dame Yenji, Huaqian Old Taoist Gansu, Yen Lang, Li Er and the others have all entered the road to the underworld. They have all encountered their own dangers. Some have avoided them, but some have lost their lives. However, Qinyu now sees a scene that stupefies him. While red clouds are floating, a road to the underworld faintly appears on Qinyu's right in the distance. With just a glance, Qinyu discovers that familiar silhouette. He is 100% sure that the person on that road to the underworld is none other than Li Er. But at the moment, several thunderbolts strike down directly from the sky. The place where they strike is none other than Li Er's location. Several thunderbolts strike Li Er? Qinyu only feels that his head is empty. But now the dense red clouds are floating slowly, unexpectedly blocking Qinyu's line of sight. No matter how hard Qinyu tries, he cannot see that road to the underworld. But now Qinyu is only 5 or 6 m away from the opposite shore. Is Li Er alive or dead? Right, she still has a protective magic treasure. Qinyu is impatient in his heart, but he tries his best to comfort himself. My defense is not as good as Li Er's. If I am not dead, Li Er must be fine. However, at this moment, several heavenly flames come charging at him from the side. Because he was distracted by Li Er's matter, Qinyu unexpectedly reacted slowly. These several heavenly flames are attacking very low, so even if he had crouched down, it would have been useless. If just now he had not been distracted and stopped moving forward slowly, these heavenly flames would not have been able to reach him at all. But at this moment, it is too late to say anything. At that moment, Qinyu's eyes show a trace of viciousness. He suddenly howls and leans to the side, at the same time giving up resisting the gravity. This Yellow Springs road was very narrow to begin with. With Qinyu leaning to the side and not being able to resist the gravity, Qinyu's entire body immediately fell to the side. At the same time, he fell extremely fast toward the heavenly flame magma river below. Chapter 213. If someone were at the scene, they would discover that Qinyu's entire body is falling extremely fast like a beam of light. The heavenly flames also fly past the road of death almost at the same time. However, in the blink of an eye, Qinyu's entire body rushes diagonally towards the shore even faster than when he is falling. With a flash of black light, Qin Yu is standing on the shore of the river of heavenly flame lava. He is safe and sound. If he were a mortal, perhaps he would not know what happened a moment ago. Perhaps Yin Mo, Dame Yin Ji, and the others would only see clearly what happened a moment ago when they arrived here. In fact, in the beginning, Qin Yu's body is falling extremely fast from one side of the road of death, like a meteorite. At the same time, several heavenly flames brush past Qin Yu's location. Even though Qin Yu has escaped the attack of the heavenly flames, Qin Yu is still falling towards the river of heavenly flame lava. The river of heavenly flame lava is boiling. Various heavenly flames shoot up into the sky. Not to mention Qin Yu. Even Dame Yin Ji will definitely die if she enters the river of heavenly flame lava. Qin Yu's body is falling down. His ice-cold eyes look at that boiling river of heavenly flame lava without the slightest bit of fear. All of a sudden, Qin Yu's extremely fast-falling body stops. Qin Yu is holding a black rope with both hands. That rope is firmly coiled several times around one end of the road of death. That black rope can be seen shortening extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, Qin Yu, who is holding one end of the rope, immediately reaches the shore of the road of death, due to the rope shortening extremely fast. Due to the inertia of the rope shortening extremely fast, Qin Yu only needs to prop himself up with both hands to directly reach the shore. This is the process of Qin Yu's escape for his life. He has finally passed through the road of death successfully. However, at the moment, Qin Yu does not feel happy at all in his heart. He only feels worried. Li-er. Qin Yu clenched his fists, his heart filled with worry. Just as Qin Yu's heart was filled with worry and fear, the world suddenly turned upside down. Qin Yu had originally been on the other side of the river of heavenly fire lava. But at this moment, Qin Yu had abruptly disappeared from where he had been standing. By the time Qin Yu regained his senses, he had already woken up. This is... Qin Yu looked around. Just a moment ago, he was still at the side of the Yellow Springs Road, looking at the heavenly fire and heavenly thunder that covered the sky. But now, Qin Yu was on a grassland. A gentle breeze was blowing on the grassland, and it was very comfortable. However, how is this possible? Qin Yu was dumbfounded. No matter how calm and collected he was still shocked when he saw the person in front of him. He saw a black-robed man standing several tens of meters in front of Qin Yu. It was none other than Third Tribulation Loose Devil Huacan. Huacan should have died. I saw it with my own eyes. On the road of death, I saw with my own eyes that he was burned into ashes by the heavenly fire. How could he? Qin Yu's face was filled with disbelief. At the same time he felt confused. At the moment, Huacan also seemed to have seen Qin Yu. At the same time, an expression as if he had seen a ghost appears on his face. Qin Yu, it's you. Aren't you dead? I'm dead? Qin Yu's face was filled with astonishment. I saw with my own eyes that you were killed by the heavenly thunder. How could you? Huacan was also confused. Yin Lang, how could you still be alive? Yin Mo's voice rose not far away. Of course I'm alive. Why are you asking this? Yin Lang's doubtful voice rose. Dame Yin Ji Yu, I saw with my own eyes that you fell into the river of heavenly fire lava. How could you still be alive? Silhouettes appeared on the prairie one after another. Big brother Qin Yu. A pleasantly surprised voice rose. Qin Yu turned around to take a look. He saw Li-er, who was wearing a silver-white woman's armor and red boots, so excited that her face turned red. Her eyes were even red and swollen. She ran up to Qin Yu's side in only 2 or 3 steps, then directly hugged Qin Yu tightly. Feeling the body in his embrace, Qin Yu still felt a burst of dizziness at the moment. Obtaining something after losing it is the warmest feeling. Qin Yu could not help hugging Li-er's body even more tightly. Li-er raised her head and looked at Qin Yu with her red and swollen eyes. At the moment, wearing a suit of armor, Li-er had a rare heroic spirit. Big brother Qin Yu, when I saw the heavenly fire burn you, I thought. Li-er looked at Qin Yu with her beautiful eyes. Her eyes were full of fear, as if she had seen the scene from that day again. She could not help crying. Qin Yu felt a burst of heartache. Unconsciously, Qin Yu lowered his head and gently kissed away the tears at the corners of Li-er's eyes. Don't cry. No matter what happens, I will be fine. I will not make you worry. Don't worry. Qin Yu lowered his head and stared into Li Er's eyes. He said softly but firmly. Li Er's face turned completely red. She immediately buried her head in Qin Yu's chest, and did not dare to look at Qin Yu again. At this moment, Qin Yu was startled. Just now, only now does Qin Yu feel that his heartbeat is like the sound of a bell. Thump thump, thump sounds are echoing in his ears. This kind of heartbeat feeling can only be felt when he ran with weights during extreme training as a child. However, when he saw Li Er in his bosom, Qin Yu smiled again. Then he couldn't help but hug Li Er even tighter. What the hell is going on? Qin Yu, I saw you being burned to death by the heavenly fire with my own eyes. Moreover, you asked me for help in a loud voice. I believe I'm absolutely not mistaken. Ida walked to Qin Yu's side and looked at Qin Yu with a face full of doubts. Li Er seemed to wake up with a start. She suddenly got out of Qin Yu's arms, but her face was still blushing. Qin Yu cursed Ida in his heart. But after a while, Qin Yu also began to wonder what had happened. Listening to what the others said, it seemed that they had all seen the others die. But now they all seemed to be alive and well. What the hell was going on? Could it be that all this was an illusion? Qin Yu was puzzled, but he really found it hard to imagine that the illusion could be so real. Even the temperature of the heavenly fire and the aura of the heavenly fire lava could be clearly felt. 8 people appeared on the prairie. Qin Yu, Yen Mo, Li Er, Ida, Dame Yin Ji, Huaqian Azure Dragon Yin Lang and Old Taoist Gansu. But Reverend Shui Rou, Reverend Yu Yen, and the 3 great experts of the Dragon Clan are all gone. That immortal emperor in Yang said that going into the road of Yellow Springs would have a 90% chance of survival. But why are so many of us alive and well now? This is really strange. Azure Dragon Yin Lang said doubtfully. A 90% chance of survival? There were only so many people in total, but 8 of them had come here alive. But at the moment, the atmosphere between Old Taoist Gansu, Huaqian and Dame Yin Ji is somewhat subtle. Old Taoist Gansu, Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen are Hualan's murderers. Of course Hualan's younger brother Huaqian hates these 3 people very much. But now Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yen have not appeared, so naturally Huaqian is targeting Old Taoist Gansu. But because he is intimidated by Dame Yin Ji, he does not dare to risk his life to fight Old Taoist Gansu. Once he does, perhaps he will not be able to fight Dame Yin Ji. Dame Yin Ji also feels helpless in her heart. She was already seriously injured in the Qinyu Immortal Mansion, and was also attacked on the road of Yellow Springs. At the moment, her power is less than 1/3 of what it used to be. But even so, she is not someone whom Huaqian and Old Taoist Gansu can fight alone. Where did Reverend Shui Rou and Reverend Yu Yin go? Could it be they died on the road of Yellow Springs? Huaqian says furiously. Those 2 adulterers died on the road of Yellow Springs before I even got my revenge on them. They were really lucky. No, perhaps they're in the Peach Blossom Spring. Old Taoist Gansu says with a disdainful look at Huaqian. What about my 3 uncles? Azure Dragon Yin Lang now feels doubtful in his heart. Could it be they really went to the Peach Blossom Spring? When he heard Immortal Emperor Nai Yang's explanation about the Peach Blossom Spring and the road to the underworld, Yin Lang immediately thought of his 3 uncles. In his opinion, his 3 uncles, who have reached the late Dujia stage, should go to the Peach Blossom Spring. But now that he has discovered that his 3 uncles are not there, Azure Dragon Yin Lang feels a bit worried. Without his 3 uncles, the power of the Dragon Clan is at the bottom of the list of survivors. Congratulations, you even had the guts to choose the road of Yellow Springs. Nai Yang Immortal Emperor's voice spread across the prairie. Suddenly, everyone stopped talking and listened carefully to Nai Yang Immortal Emperor's words. I know you're very curious as to why the people you saw die are now alive in front of you. There is a hint of ridicule in Immortal Emperor Nai Yang's words. Qin Yu and the others all listened to him. They already have guesses in their hearts, but they can only be sure after hearing Immortal Emperor Nai Yang's answer. Let me tell you, the road of Yellow Springs is the road of life. Immortal Emperor Nai Yang says evilly. Everybody's heart is shaken. Could it be that everyone who entered the road of Yellow Springs has survived? Yes, just as you thought. Everyone who chose to enter the road of Yellow Springs has arrived here safely. The heavenly flame lava river looks formidable. But no matter if you were struck by the thunderbolts, fell into the lava river, or passed through it safely, you'd all arrive at this prairie in the end without suffering any injuries. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang appears to be very proud. This immortal Emperor Inai Yang actually tricked us again. At the beginning, he said there was a 90% chance of death. And then he said there was a possibility that everyone would die, but now, at this moment, Huaqian appears to be very angry. This is really too much. Everybody else is speechless. At the beginning, the road of Yellow Springs was exaggerated to be very dangerous. To say that if you're not careful, you'll lose your life. Moreover, as long as you step into the road of Yellow Springs, it means that you definitely won't die and will arrive at this prairie safely. Suddenly, Qin Yu's heart is moved. Since the people who chose the road of Yellow Springs are all alive, then what about the people who entered the Peach Blossom Spring? Is it really as Immortal Emperor Inai Yang said? There isn't any danger? The road of Yellow Springs is the road of life, but the Peach Blossom Spring is the land of death. Everyone who chose to enter the Peach Blossom Spring, after stepping into the Peach Blossom Spring, they'll discover that that is the real Yellow Springs, haha. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang laughs loudly. Everybody's heart is terrified. Deceiving, teasing, treating people's lives like child's play. This Immortal Emperor Inai Yang simply doesn't have any scruples, as if he's playing a game. The conditions he tells seem to be true, but in the end it turns out to be false. So it's really hard to tell whether they are true or false. My three uncles. Azure Dragon Yin Lang's face changes color greatly. If his three uncles had entered the Peach Blossom Spring and left after ascending, he would have felt at ease. However, now that he has heard Immortal Emperor Inai Yang say that everyone who entered the Peach Blossom Spring is dead, he cannot help feeling indignant and unwilling. Life is death, death is life. They don't even have the courage to face death and danger. On the contrary, they're willing to live peacefully. How can such people deserve my treasures? Living in this world is also a waste of heaven and earth's holy energy. Let them die. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang says disdainfully. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang obviously looks down on people who are afraid of death and danger the most. Stepping into the road of Yellow Springs means that these people have the courage to face death and danger. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang is satisfied with this kind of courage. Therefore, they have all arrived at this prairie safely. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang. Qin Yu secretly lets out a sigh of relief. He doesn't know whether it was good or bad to call this Immortal Emperor Inai Yang Big Brother Qin Yu. This Immortal Emperor Inai Yang is really powerful, especially in formations and illusions. Li Er's face is still blushing. At the moment, however, Li Er thinks to herself, before coming here, what Uncle Lan told me seems to be right. At this moment, the 8 people present all think of the treasures. Everybody, congratulations on coming here. Now that you've come this far, I officially declare that you're already safe. Of course, it's none of my business if you kill each other. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's voice reverberates in the sky above the prairie. What you need to do is to divide the immortal treasures. Can Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's words be believed? Some words must be believed, and some words must not be believed. Only a fool would believe everything he said. This is the conclusion that everybody has reached after going through so much after entering the immortal mansion. Fly 8,000 li to the southeast from where you are. There is a jade pavilion there, which is none other than the treasure-storing tower of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. The most precious immortal treasures of the mansion are all in there. You can go there to fight for them now. How many you can get will depend on your own abilities. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang finally announces the location of those treasures. The treasure-storing tower of the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion is 8,000 li to the southeast. At this moment, everybody engraves this information in their minds. There's absolutely no danger on this 8,000 li journey from here to the treasure-storing tower. You can fly without worry. I wish you good luck, haha. Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's voice finally disappears between heaven and earth. There's no danger on this 8,000 li journey? Can Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's words be completely believed? The 8 people including Qingyu, Li Er, Dame Yanji and Old Taoist Gan Su look at each other then immediately fly towards the southeast. Only the 8 of them are flying very slowly and very cautiously. Obviously they are not flying without worry, as Immortal Emperor and I Yang said. Chapter 214. On the prairie, wherever the 8 of them fly, the grass is bent by the wind. At the moment, the 8 of them are flying very quietly, but in fact they are scheming. Azure Dragon Yin Lang has even started to communicate with Yen Mo through holy sense communication. Yen Mo, even though you disobeyed the elders' orders in the past, my dragon clan has never regarded you as an outsider. You should know that the dragon clan is very united and won't abandon any of its members. Azure Dragon Yin Lang says via holy sense communication while flying. His 3 uncles have all died, so the dragon clan's power has decreased greatly among these 8 people. Now Yin Lang can only rope in Yen Mo. After all, in terms of power, Middle Kongming stage Yen Mo is comparable to a late Dujia Xiuxianist. 3rd Tribulation Loose Devils and 3rd Tribulation Loose Immortals are comparable to Deshang stage experts. But both Huacan and Old Taoist Gan Su have been seriously injured. Huacan is still alright, but Old Taoist Gan Su has been seriously injured. Perhaps he will not be much weaker than Yen Mo in a real fight. Yin Lang, what do you mean by saying all this? Yen Mo says coldly through holy sense communication. Yen Mo, you know how powerful the dragon clan is, and how it protects its own. If any of its members is bullied, our entire dragon clan will go to take revenge. In those days you disobeyed the elders' orders when you were still young, so they actually still regarded you as a member of the dragon clan. Yin Lang persuades. Yen Mo becomes silent. Even though the elders haven't cared about you for so many years, but, even though you're in the wilderness, why can you be the leader of the outer regions of the wilderness? And why don't those demonic beasts in the inner regions kill you? Yin Lang asks again. Those experts will not dare to kill even a dragon who has left the dragon clan at will. This is because the dragon clan is too protective of its own. Yen Mo himself knows very well that his success in the wilderness is partly due to his power. Partly, even though he can forget it, he must admit that his identity as a dragon has played a very big role. The dragon clan. Among the demon beasts, they were mainly divided into 3 major categories: beasts, scaled beasts, and birds. The dragon race was almost synonymous with the scaled beasts. Although the scaled beasts had some relatively powerful clans, the other scaled beasts added together couldn't be compared to the dragon race. Moreover, the dragon race was united with the outside world. What do you want me to do? Yen Mo says softly. Having experienced so many years in the untainted land, Yen Mo is no longer the Yen Mo of the past. Now he is already a feudal lord of a region. He is not as arrogant as he used to be. After all, being too rigid is easy to break. Yen Lang is delighted in his heart and says at once, Yen Mo, this time 3 uncles have already died. You also know that this immortal mansion belongs to Immortal Emperor and I Yang. It is said to be a treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Even those elders of my clan covet it. As long as we obtain that treasure this time and hand it over to the clan, our positions will definitely skyrocket. Back then, you were still young and disobeyed the orders of the elders. The elders definitely wouldn't care. Yin Lang, do you mean you want me to help those old men? Yen Mo is a bit angry. Azure Dragon Yin Lang says indifferently. Yen Mo, I've also spent such a long time alone in the Blue Dragon Temple, fighting against the Penglai Immortal Region and the Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon. I can also imagine your days in the wilderness. Yen Mo, we're brothers of the Dragon Clan. Could it be you're really happy being alone outside? Being alone and happy? Yen Mo ponders for a while. No one knows what he is thinking in his mind. After a long time he says, all right, I'll join hands with you to snatch the treasure. I know Dame Yanji, Huacan and Old Taoist Gan Su are all seriously injured. In terms of power, I'm definitely a match for them now that I'm in perfect condition. But they all have low-grade immortal weapons. Huacan and Old Taoist Gan Su both have low-grade immortal weapons. Even though they are seriously injured, If Yin Mo were to fight them, his chances of victory would be slim. Don't worry about this. I have a low-grade immortal weapon here, Yin Lang suddenly says. To the Dragon Clan, it is not difficult to take out a low-grade immortal weapon. This time, Yen Lanshan, Yen Lanshu and the other two brothers were able to carry 3 illusion dragon balls, so it is not strange for Azure Dragon Yin Lang to carry a low-grade immortal weapon. After all, the Dragon Clan is very rich. Aren't you worried that I won't give you your immortal weapon after taking it? Yen Mo asks in reply. Why should I be worried? Yen Lang does not care at all. Not only Yen Mo and Yen Lang, the others are also talking to each other through holy sense communication. On the 8,000 li journey to the treasure tower, they have formed an alliance among themselves. These 8 people had secretly formed an alliance. Everyone's flying speed was relatively slow because they were worried about any danger. But in the end, the facts tell them that their suspicions are wrong. The treacherous immortal emperor in Yang has spoken the truth for once. There is really no danger at all on the way. In the middle of the endless prairie, there is a 2-story pavilion. This pavilion is made entirely of white jade, but the roof tiles are golden. In front of the door of this 2-story white jade pavilion, on the left side is a human sculpture made of black crystals. On the right side is a huge stone tablet that is as tall as that human sculpture. This human sculpture made of black crystals can be considered handsome, but the most conspicuous thing about it is its aura. That kind of aura of disdain for the whole world makes people involuntarily feel ashamed of their inferiority in front of it. When Qin Yu and the other 7 people take a look at the sculpture, they cannot help feeling oppressed in their hearts. They cannot help praising in their hearts that the sculptor is so skilled that the aura of the person he is carving is completely revealed. Even experts at the 3rd tribulation or 4th tribulation stage of loose immortals and loose devils feel oppressed. The way of carving is very close to the way of nature. At the same time, everyone shifted their gazes from the sculpture to the stone tablet. They recognized the familiar handwriting at first glance, that it was left behind by immortal emperor in Yang. Juniors, don't let your imagination run wild. This stone tablet is not a mansion-guarding stone tablet. Remember, go in through the gate. There are immortal treasures waiting for you on the 1st floor. After that, go up to the 2nd floor through the passage on the 1st floor. There are also immortal treasures left for you on the 2nd floor. What kind of immortal treasures you can get will depend entirely on your luck. Looking at the large characters on the stone tablet, everybody is delighted in their hearts. Looks like there are quite a few treasures here. Not only are there on the 1st floor, but also on the 2nd floor. Looking at the gate of this white jade pavilion, some people even want to rush in directly. Luckily, nobody at the scene is an idiot. If they were the first to make a move, they would definitely be besieged by everybody else. Everybody. At that time Brother Yi made an agreement outside the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. But now more than half of the people have died, so naturally it's hard to keep the agreement. Therefore, I suggest we discuss the issue of distribution carefully again here. Yen Lang says loudly. Yen Mo is also standing beside Yen Lang, holding a dark blue spear in his hand. As soon as they arrived at this white jade pavilion, Yen Mo received the low-grade immortal weapon Yen Lang gave him, and dripped his blood on it to make it recognize him as its master. Distribution? Humph, why should we? Dame Yen Ji says with a cold humph. Little Azure Dragon, your 3 predecessors are all dead. Could it be your dragon clan still wants to fight over them? Even though she is seriously injured, nobody at the scene is a match for Dame Yen Ji in a one-on-one fight. Yen Lang says smilingly, my 3 uncles are dead, but when I was in the Qinyu Immortal Mansion, I already sent a message to my dragon clan's elders using a secret method of my dragon clan. If you rely on force to snatch the treasures, you won't be able to take them away even if you leave the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Dame Yen Ji's face changes color. The faces of old Taoist Gansu and the others also become slightly unsightly. If there are really experts of the Dragon Clan waiting for them outside the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, this matter will be really bad. Don't talk nonsense here. I've already tried. Transmitters are useless in this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Old Taoist Gansu says coldly. This place can't send messages to the outside. How did you tell your elders about this? Haha. Gansu, I didn't say I was going to use transmitters. Damien G, given your knowledge, you should know that my dragon clan has secret treasures for communication, right? They're much more effective than transmitters. Yen Lang says very confidently, there are extremely many treasures in the dragon clan. Transmitters are only used by ordinary Xiationists and Zuyuyoists. The dragon clan still has some high-class communication treasures. Indeed, Damien G feels somewhat helpless in her heart. In fact, Yin Lang is scared out of his wits. The dragon clan does have that kind of secret treasures for communication, but at that time it did not pay enough attention to this immortal mansion. It is already very extraordinary for it to let 3 late Dujia Azure dragons bring 3 illusion dragon balls here. How could it have thought that even transmitters cannot be used in this place? However, Yin Lang has successfully intimidated everybody. Yin Lang knows that he cannot go too far. My dragon clan doesn't ask for too much. We want 2 out of the 9. What do you think? Yin Lang says smilingly. In other words, if the number of immortal treasures is a multiple of 9, we'll divide them according to this way. If there are fewer than 9, we'll fight over them with our own abilities. Hearing that the dragon clan has only asked for this so far, Damien G says at once, all right, I agree. I don't want too much either. I want 3 out of the 9. Not too much, but 3 out of the 9. But Damien G's power is obvious, so the others cannot say anything. Before Qin Yu can say anything, Li Er says smilingly, the Stellar Tower doesn't want too much either. I'll say it on behalf of my big brother Qin Yu. We want 2. You want 2? Why? Huaqian says coldly. Old Taoist Gansu's eyes also radiate coldness. The Dragon Clan and Dame Yinji already have 5 immortal treasures in total. If Qin Yu wants 2, how many more can Huaqian and Old Taoist Gansu get? Why? Li Er says smilingly, because of the protective magic treasures on my body, you can't hurt me at all. But I can use this ice-devouring lightning talisman to kill either of you. Li Er takes out a sparkling purple talisman. The situation changes in an instant. Qin Yu also gives a smile. It turns out Uncle Lan has given Li Er a protective magic treasure, but it turns out she also has an offensive treasure. Damien G, you should know the power of the ice-devouring lightning talisman. If you weren't injured at all, you could still barely resist it. But now, I think even if you can resist it, you'll be seriously injured. As for the others, they won't be able to resist it. Li Er looks at Dame Yinji and says, Dame Yinji does not know whether to laugh or cry. Little girl, I'm indeed convinced by that loose immortal senior of yours. Ice-devouring lightning talisman. If it were the ice-devouring lightning talisman, even if I was at my peak, I would probably be seriously injured and lose my offensive power. But now, Dame Yinji has heard about this ice-devouring lightning talisman. But to make this talisman, firstly, it is impossible to make it without the power of an 8th tribulation loose immortal. Secondly, the materials used are extremely precious, even more precious than a low-grade immortal weapon. Thirdly, the method of making it is not something that ordinary loose immortals can know. An ice-devouring lightning talisman has intimidated everybody. All right, I'll take one of the 9 portions. Old Taoist Gansu concedes. Huaqian also says helplessly, the last portion belongs to Ida and me. Even though he says so, in fact, if there were really 9 immortal weapons, how could he possibly give Ida the one that would be allocated to him? Only Ida is not dissatisfied at all at the moment. Very good, then let's go in. After saying, Dame Yinji takes the lead and walks towards the main gate of this tower. The others also walk towards the inside of the White Jade Tower. Qin Yu, however, looks at Li Er. What's the matter, Li Er? Qin Yu asks doubtfully. Big brother Qin Yu, you go in first. I still have something to do. You take this ice-devouring lightning talisman. Li Er gives a mysterious smile. Hearing Li Er say so, Qin Yu nods and receives it smilingly, then walks towards the main gate of the White Jade Tower. There may be dangers inside the tower, but how can there be dangers outside? Moreover, Li Er is protected by protective magic treasures. If Qin Yu takes this ice-devouring lightning talisman, It will be a threat to those loose immortals and loose devils. When Qin Yu reaches the entrance, which is the side of that sculpture, he suddenly notices something out of the corner of his eye. There is unexpectedly a ring on the index finger of the right hand of this black jade sculpture, which has both hands behind its back. Because the statue has its hands behind its back and is wearing a long robe, it simply cannot notice it unless it goes to where Qin Yu is. Moreover, that ring is of the same color as the statue, so it is hard to detect it. However, Qin Yu unexpectedly discovered it. This ring, could it be some kind of treasure? Qin Yu reaches out his hand and tries to take the ring off. Who could have thought that Qin Yu would be able to take it off so easily? However, Qin Yu does not find anything special about this ring after making a sweep with his holy sense. Even after Qin Yu puts it on his finger and drips his blood on it to claim ownership, he still does not find anything special about it. Obviously, this is only a decoration. I'm really paranoid. Qin Yu shakes his head with a smile, then goes straight to the first floor of the treasure-storing pavilion. On the first floor, at the moment Dame Yanji and the others are looking at a small black necklace floating in the air. This necklace looks exactly like a dog necklace used by mortals. The only difference is that it radiates a very bizarre energy, which is different from ordinary immortal elemental energy. Holy beast collars, it's surprisingly holy beast collars. Moreover, there are 18 of them. Dame Yanji cries out in surprise. The number is neither too many nor too few, exactly 18. Isn't this a multiple of 9? They're unexpectedly holy beast collars. Azure Dragon Yinlang's eyes flash with coldness. At the moment, Dame Yanji is intimidated by everybody, so she does not dare to snatch the collars by force. She looks at Azure Dragon smilingly and says, "Everybody, these holy beast collars are used by some immortals to subdue demonic beasts. Once a demonic beast is injured and about to die, it will have to be controlled by the immortal if it is put on by the holy beast collars. Of course, the user of these holy beast collars is not necessarily an immortal. Of course, a loose devil like me can also use them. It's said that there are quite a few holy beast collars in the immortal world, but you can hardly find them in the mortal world." No wonder Azure Dragon Yinlang is unhappy. These holy beast collars are used to capture demonic beasts and use them as mounts. Chapter 215. Book 10 Chapter 19 The Inkwash Painting. There are quite a few holy beast collars in the immortal world. But in this mortal world, perhaps even 12th tribulation loose immortals do not have enough power to make them. Therefore, holy beast collars naturally become precious. If he gives these holy beast collars to those 8th or 10th tribulation loose immortals and loose devils, he will definitely have a whole new level of respect for them, not to mention anything else. Even if he does not give them to others, he will be extremely free and unfettered if he catches a demonic beast as a mount. Looks like Immortal Emperor Ai Yang left us quite a few treasures. Since these 18 holy beast collars are divided into 9 pairs, naturally we'll divide them according to the original agreement. I'll take 2 of the holy beast collars. Huaqian says, and is about to get into action. Dame Yanji gives him a cold look and says in an ice-cold voice, "Huaqian, haste makes waste." As soon as Qin Yu sees these holy beast collars, the first thing that comes to his mind is, they can control demonic beasts. Dame Yanji, I still don't know much about these holy beast collars. How can they completely control demonic beasts? Qin Yu asks politely. Seeing that it is Qin Yu, Dame Yanji knows that the loose immortal behind this stellar tower is extraordinarily powerful. She immediately says smilingly, "The forging method of these holy beast collars is extremely special. They seem to be able to connect with the soul. Once a demonic beast is bound, it absolutely can't betray its master." Qin Yu is delighted in his heart. What he is most worried about is what will happen to his family members if he ascends and leaves one day or dies. Now that he has these holy beast collars, it will be fine. With these holy beast collars, Qin Yu will be able to catch a formidable demonic beast with all his might. With these holy beast collars, he will definitely be able to let this demonic beast protect his family members. Dame Yanji, now we'd better divide these holy beast collars. Old Taoist Gansu's eyes are somewhat blazing. As soon as he sees these holy beast collars, he becomes excited in his heart. He is only a third tribulation loose immortal, but these holy beast collars are treasures that even 12th tribulation loose immortals want very much to obtain. Dame Yinji looks at everybody and says at once, "Since that's the case, let's follow the original agreement. I'll take 3 of the 9 holy beast collars, which means 6 holy beast collars. Qin Yu and the others will take 2, which means 4 holy beast collars. The Dragon Clan will also take 4, Gansu 2, Huaqian and Yi 2. Am I right?" Everyone nodded. Dame Yinji immediately waves her hand and takes out 18 holy beast collars. Afterwards, she looks at Qin Yu first and says smilingly, "These are the 4 holy beast collars of your stellar tower." After saying so, she hands the 4 holy beast collars to Qin Yu in a very friendly manner. The first one she gave was to Qin Yu, indicating Dame Yinji's goodwill towards Qin Yu. In fact, Dame Yinji is like this not only because of the formidable individual immortal behind Qin Yu, but also because of another important reason. Qin Yu has ice-devouring lightning talismans. This was the only thing that could hurt her, or even take her life. "Thank you, Dame Yinji." Qin Yu smilingly received the 4 spiritual beast collars. Qin Yu looked at the entrance of the treasure pavilion. Why hasn't Li Er arrived yet? "Yin Lang, Yin Mo, this belongs to your Dragon Clan." Dame Yinji then gave the 4 holy beast collars to them. As the representative, Yin Lang immediately reached out his hand to receive them. As soon as he received them, he gave 2 of them to Yin Mo on one side. Yin Mo, however, only took 1. "Yin Lang, this holy beast collar is enough for me. Huaqian, this is for you and Ida." Dame Yinji took out 2 holy beast collars and gave 1 each to Huaqian and Ida. "Ida, what do you want those holy beast collars for?" Huaqian unexpectedly takes both holy beast collars with one hand. At the moment, Ida is awkwardly stretching out his hand. For the moment, he looks somewhat embarrassed. Even though Ida relies on Huaqian, Huaqian's intention is very obvious. He will not give any of the 2 holy beast collars to Ida. Ida takes his hand back. Seemingly not angry, he says smilingly instead, "Senior Huaqian is a loose devil, and I'm still weak. These holy beast collars won't be of much use to me. They'll be of great use in your hands, Senior." Only now does Huaqian's face show a hint of satisfaction. He then gives old Taoist Gansu's share to him. These 18 holy beast collars have been completely distributed. I remember that immortal Emperor Inai Yang once said that there was a unique treasure in the treasure storing tower that was 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Even though these holy beast collars can also be considered precious, they're inferior to the Qingyu immortal mansion, let alone 10 times more valuable. Could that treasure be on the 2nd floor? Ida says thoughtfully. The faces of the other people at the scene all change color. When the holy beast collars were distributed, everybody was amiable and did not care too much about these holy beast collars. That is because everybody at the scene remembers that immortal Emperor Inai Yang once said that there was a treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu immortal mansion. After Ida's words, the atmosphere at the scene becomes tense. Since we've already distributed the holy beast collars on the 1st floor, let's go to the 2nd floor. The entrance to the 2nd floor is over there. Dame Yinji smilingly walks towards that staircase, not caring whether the others will follow her or not. She is the first to go up the stairs. Old Taoist Gansu, Huaqian and the other experts hurriedly follow her. The holy beast collars are far inferior to the Qingyu immortal mansion, let alone compared to that treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Which of these experts would not fight over such a treasure to the death? Moreover, according to what immortal Emperor Inai Yang said at that time, this treasure is unique. In other words, there is only one of it. Since it is the only one, naturally there is no need to distribute it. Instead, everybody will rely on their own abilities to fight for it. The staircase is made of milky white marble. Everybody goes up the stairs. Dame Yinji's heart trembles. She unexpectedly sees a person standing in the spacious hall on the 2nd floor. This person is none other than Li Er. "Miss Li Er, how did you enter the 2nd floor? Just now I was on the 1st floor, and didn't see anybody enter the second floor from the stairs. How did you enter the second floor? At the moment, Dame Yanji is most worried that Li Er has obtained that treasure. At the moment, Qin Yu and the others also come up one by one. Seeing Dame Yanji's face full of killing intent, and seeing Li Er being questioned, Qin Yu cannot help getting angry in his heart. He immediately moves his body to the front of Li Er and shouts at Dame Yanji. Dame Yanji, what are you doing? Qin Yu is furious, but his hand is still holding that ice-devouring lightning talisman. Dame Yanji's heart is raging with fury. She is the most powerful among the 8 people, so she is determined to obtain that treasure 10 times more valuable than the Qinyu Immortal Mansion. Who could have thought that when she entered the second floor, she would discover that Li Er had already entered? However, seeing the ice-devouring lightning talisman, she still restrains her anger with difficulty, saying, I want to ask you, how did this Li Er enter the second floor? Dame Yanji, just now when we were outside the treasure-storing tower, you all entered the first floor, and I went straight to the second floor. Li Er says as if it is a matter of course. Qin Yu is startled too. He looks back at Li Er and says doubtfully, Li Er, just now nobody went through the stairs. Moreover, Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's steel also said that you can enter the second floor from the passage on the first floor. How did you come in? I flew straight up. Li Er says honestly, that's impossible. Just now I even observed carefully. This treasure-storing tower has been set up with restrictive spells, so how can you come in at will? It's only safe to enter through the passage left behind by Immortal Emperor Inai Yang. Now old Taoist Gansu also says angrily, do you really believe Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's words completely? Li Er looks at everybody as if she is looking at a fool. Everybody is speechless as if they have choked on their food. What a good Immortal Emperor Inai Yang. We've been fooled again. Azure Dragon Yin Lang shakes his head smilingly and says with a sigh. The other people's hearts are also filled with resentment towards this Immortal Emperor Inai Yang. He said that you can enter the second floor from the passage on the first floor. But do you really have to do that? Most of them have sensed that this treasure-storing tower has been set up with restrictive spells, so they do not dare to barge in recklessly. Li Er, however, flies straight to the second floor. Miss Li Er, is there any treasure on this second floor? Have you found it? Dame Yanji takes a look at the second floor, then asks Li Er in the end. On the first floor, those 18 holy beast collars appeared in front of everybody's eyes. But on this second floor, even though Dame Yanji only took a look, given her power, if that immortal treasure was not too hidden, she would have definitely found it. Dame Yanji, Qin Yu takes over, and says while staring at Dame Yanji, what does it have to do with you whether my Li Er has obtained it or not? There's only one treasure that Immortal Emperor Inai Yang mentioned. It basically doesn't need to be divided. It belongs to whoever has obtained it. Even if Li Er has obtained it, why should she tell you? Dame Yanji is furious. But seeing the ice-devouring lightning talisman that Qin Yu is holding in his hand all the time, she forcibly swallows her anger. At the moment, Dame Yanji is not the only one on the second floor who covets that treasure. The other experts are also coveting that treasure. At this moment, they also want to know whether Li Er has obtained that immortal treasure or not. Everybody, I swear to heaven that if I've obtained that so-called unique immortal treasure, I'll be struck by heavenly thunder and my soul will scatter. Li Er Qin Yu cannot help being shocked when he sees Li Er making such a magnanimous vow. Li Er winks at Qin Yu and says with a mischievous smile, if you don't have it, just say it. Even though I came to this second floor in advance, I really didn't find the immortal treasure on this floor. Looks like it's really hidden very well. The others all let out a sigh of relief. No longer having time to talk with Li Er, the other 6 people immediately start to search carefully on the second floor. The layout of this second floor is similar to a relatively large study room. There are various portraits hanging on the walls, and a huge bookcase leaning against the wall. At the same time, there is a desk in the middle of the room. There are even writing brushes, ink sticks, paper and inkstones on the desk. I dare say that this immortal Emperor Inai Yang must have lived in the mortal world for a period of time. Qin Yu takes the writing brush and says after taking a careful look at it, The appearance of this writing brush is a unique writing brush used by Qin Shi Huang when he was still alive. However, Qin Yu feels that this writing brush is very heavy when he holds it in his hand. However, when Qin Yu is about to continue talking, a misty sword aura unexpectedly shoots out from the writing brush and pierces Ida's arm directly, easily piercing through it. Who's sneak attacking? Ida, who was originally searching carefully, sees that Qin Yu is looking at that writing brush with an astonished expression. At the moment, various sword auras are still being emitted from that writing brush. Ida's eyes immediately become blazing, and his whole body turns into a beam of light. He rushes towards the pen holder on the desk. The second floor is only so big, so the energy emitted by the sword aura naturally makes the experts discover it and become vigilant. However, only a few of them can react as fast as Ida Yanlang is one of them. Dame Yanji also comes to her senses. Boom! The 5 writing brushes in the pen holder explodes due to the competition among the experts. The 5 writing brushes are scattered all over the place. Ida grabs a writing brush. At the same time, a drop of his heart's blood falls on the writing brush. Various misty sword auras immediately flash. Afterwards, this writing brush directly fuses with Ida's body. At the same time, the other experts also start to fight over the brushes. Yanlang and Dame Yanji, who are quick to react, also snatch a writing brush each. Afterwards, Old Taoist Gansu and Huacan, relying on their own power, also snatch a writing brush. Including Qin Yu's writing brush at the beginning, there are 6 writing brushes in total. The various experts immediately bind the brushes with their blood. The moment they do so, even Yanlang exclaims in admiration. They're unexpectedly middle-grade immortal weapons. Moreover, they even contain swift and fierce sword auras. These 6 writing brushes are unexpectedly middle-grade immortal weapons. Dame Yanji also becomes ecstatic. Oh! I thought the writing brushes were transformed from 6 immortal swords, but only after I absorbed them into my body did I discover that the immortal weapons that can release such astonishing sword auras are actually writing brushes. Even though Old Taoist Gansu says so, there is still ecstasy on his face. Middle-grade immortal weapons. Very few 8th tribulation or 10th tribulation loose immortals in the chaotic astral ocean have middle-grade immortal weapons. Even in the immortal world, most golden immortals only use middle-grade immortal weapons. Therefore, it is easy to imagine how precious they are. Even Ida, when his arm was pierced by sword aura in the beginning, thought that the other writing brushes were also immortal swords. Who would have thought that only after he absorbed them into his body did he discover that the true form of these immortal weapons is writing brushes? But in terms of offense, they even surpass ordinary middle-grade immortal swords. If my guess is correct, in those days Immortal Emperor and Yang forged 6 writing brushes, and often used them to paint and write. Naturally, the sword aura in his body was also poured into these writing brushes. Only because of this did the 6 writing brushes surpass ordinary middle-grade immortal swords in power. Dame Yanji speculates. Old Taoist Gansu says in astonishment. Could it be? Immortal Emperor Yang is a legendary sword immortal who has already gone extinct on the Tung-Long continent? Sword immortals are extremely powerful in offense, but they have already lost their successors 1 million years ago on the Tung-Long continent. The loose immortals and loose devils of various major powers can only learn about sword immortals from some ancient books in their schools. Yen-Mo, what are you doing? Dame Yanji suddenly discovers that Yen-Mo is unexpectedly collecting an inkwash painting on the wall. There are several tens inkwash paintings hanging on the walls of this second floor. Everybody thinks that they should be used to decorate this room. But not only Yen-Mo, even Qin Yu is also collecting an inkwash painting on the west wall. Dame Yanji only takes a glance at it to discover that these 2 inkwash paintings have something in common. There is a very small image of an immortal sword at the bottom of each of the 2 inkwash paintings. There's another one. There are many inkwash paintings hanging on the walls, but Dame Yanji has discovered a third one that also has a small image of an immortal sword at the bottom. Her whole body turns into a beam of light and takes that inkwash painting directly into her bosom as if she is robbing someone. They, old Taoist Gan Su, Wakan and the others feel baffled. After collecting the inkwash paintings, Qin Yu, Yen Mo and Damien Ji all pause for a moment. In a short while they come to their senses. There is an uncontrollable ecstasy on their faces. Even with Yen Mo's self-control and Damien Ji's status. At the moment they are so excited that their whole bodies are trembling. Their faces are even flushed with excitement. Chapter 216. Haha. Congratulations on obtaining the heaven-sundering diagram. There are a total of 3 heaven-sundering diagrams. It can be considered as the top immortal treasure on the 2nd floor of the treasure pavilion. As for why this heaven-sundering diagram is so precious, I, Yang, will explain it to you in detail. I, Yang, am famous for my ultimate skill, heaven-sundering sword art. These 3 diagrams each contain 3 sword arts. Of course, this must be practiced by a sword immortal to have the greatest power. The effect of practicing by an ordinary immortal is mediocre. Immortal Emperor Yang's voice echoed in Qin Yu's mind. Heaven-sundering sword art. I'm not a sword immortal. Even if practicing it can increase my attack power, it won't be too obvious. To me it's of little value. Qin Yu was slightly disappointed. Immortal Emperor Yang continued. This heaven-sundering diagram contains 4 great benefits. Just now was the first benefit. Hearing this, the slightly disappointed Qin Yu immediately became excited again. Heavens, this is only the first benefit. There are still 3 more. The second benefit is that this heaven-sundering diagram contains heaven-sundering sword chi, which automatically protects its owner. Those below the level of a heavenly immortal or heavenly demon can't hurt you. Even if they want to hurt you, they have to be attacked by the sword chi. Qin Yu was delighted. Heaven-sundering sword chi protecting the body. This is a very good effect. The third benefit is that if these 3 heaven-sundering diagrams are combined, it will show a map that leads to Yang's realm. Speaking of this, Immortal Emperor Yang paused. Qin Yu was puzzled. What kind of place is Yang's realm? Yang, have been in the immortal world for hundreds of millions of years. Whether it's the demon world, devil world, or immortal world, my strength is definitely ranked in the top few. I once occupied countless cultivation planets, and the treasures of heaven and earth have reached a shocking level. Immortal Emperor Yang didn't explain what kind of place Yang's realm was, but instead started to boast about himself. This Yang's realm hides a large amount of treasures. If Qingyu Immortal Mansion was casually built by me, then Yang's realm was built by me after spending tens of thousands of years and collecting countless treasures. Its value is more than 1,000 times more than Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Qingyu understood. The Qingyu Immortal Mansion was just something that Immortal Emperor Yang casually made, and Yang's realm was something that Immortal Emperor Yang spent countless treasures and a great deal of effort to build. Within Yang's realm, there are all kinds of precious treasures, all kinds of powerful formations, all kinds of rare materials, and even some formations that I have never displayed before, as well as, let's not talk about it anymore. In short, most of the treasures that I, Immortal Emperor Yang, used to roam the immortal realm unhindered for hundreds of millions of years, are in this Yang's realm. Moreover, there is still a treasure hidden within the Yang realm. The value of this treasure even surpasses all the other treasures of the Yang realm combined. Speaking of this, even Immortal Emperor Yang became excited. Qingyu didn't even dare to breathe. He was completely shocked. A level 8 mystic immortal, who was also a sword immortal super immortal emperor, a pinnacle expert with great authority in the immortal world. However, he had hidden most of his treasures within the Yang realm. Furthermore, according to what Immortal Emperor Yang had said, there was one treasure among them that was more precious than all the other treasures combined. This heaven-sundering diagram has a fourth benefit, Immortal Emperor Yang said again. At this moment, Qingyu only knew to listen. He was already completely shocked. If it was said that the Qingyu Immortal Mansion was already a top-notch treasure in the mortal realm, then, the Yang realm, even in the immortal realm and the devil realm, was a treasure that would make immortal emperor experts go crazy. The Inai realm was definitely 10,000 times more valuable than the Qingyu immortal mansion. Junior, not everyone can enter the Inai realm. Even if you have the map, you may not be able to enter. If you want to enter, you also need to have the qualifications. Immortal Emperor Inai said again. Qingyu held his breath and listened carefully. Those who possess the Heaven Sundering diagram have the qualifications to enter. Those who possess the Heaven Sundering diagram, when they reach the Inai realm, control the Heaven Sundering sword qi to cover an area. Within the area, there can be at most 5 people hidden, including the possessor of the Heaven Sundering diagram. There will be a total of 6 people. When these 6 people reach the Inai realm, they will automatically be sucked in. As for the others, even if they reach the outside of the Inai realm, they will not be able to enter, even if he is a profound immortal emperor. Immortal Emperor Inai appeared to be very confident. The Inai realm was tantamount to Immortal Emperor Inai old nest. Given his power, how could other immortal emperors possibly enter it without his permission? Possessing a Heaven Sundering diagram is tantamount to having the qualifications to enter the Inai realm himself and his 5 subordinates. In other words, 18 people can enter the Inai realm, with 3 Heaven Sundering diagrams added together. Junior, let me give you a piece of advice. Practice a lot, and increase your power a bit before going in. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die. Haha. Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Inai voice disappeared. Qingyu, Dame Yanji and Yanemo all came back to their senses. The 3 of them exchanged a look, but all of them could not help remaining silent. The existence of the Heaven Sundering diagram was really too shocking. They believed that, once this news spread, the wilderness, the chaotic astral ocean, and even the Tunglong continent would all go crazy. Given their power, they simply would not be able to keep this treasure. Dame Yanji, what kind of treasure is that inkwash painting? Can you tell me about it? Old Taoist Gansu looks at Dame Yanji and says smilingly, but that hint of expectation in his eyes has exposed his purpose at the moment. Dame Yanji says indifferently, it's only an immortal weapon. Hua Kan, however, looks at Qingyu and says smilingly, little brother Qingyu, can you tell us what kind of immortal weapon that inkwash painting is? So that we can broaden our horizons. Just now old Taoist Gansu, Hua Kanida, Yen Lang and the others all saw how excited Dame Yanji and the others were to the point of trembling. It should be known that even when Dame Yanji obtained that middle-grade immortal writing brush, she did not lose her composure like that. What kind of treasure is it that is worth it? Nobody believes that it is a simple immortal weapon. Hearing Hua Kan ask him, Qingyu says with an indifferent smile, since you've asked me, Senior Hua Kan, I'll naturally tell you. Immediately, both Dame Yanji and Qingyu look at him, their eyes radiating fierceness. But the eyes of old Taoist Gansu, Hua Kan and the others brighten. This inkwash painting is actually a body-protecting immortal weapon. At the same time, it contains an extremely formidable practice method. Qingyu says smilingly. Hearing Qingyu say so, Dame Yanji and Yanemo both secretly let out a sigh of relief. Body-protecting immortal weapon? Old Taoist Gansu and the others are shocked. Yes, with this inkwash painting, ordinary experts basically won't be able to harm the owner. At the same time, this inkwash painting contains an extremely formidable sword technique. This is Immortal Emperor Inai unique skill. Too bad, only sword immortals can practice it, and its power is great. The effect of us practicing it instead isn't great. Qingyu says rather regretfully. Yanemo and Dame Yanji both secretly curse Qingyu for being cunning, but they also feel much more relaxed in their hearts. After all, Qingyu has only mentioned the first 2 benefits of the Heaven Sundering diagram. The most maddening and precious parts of the diagram are the last 2 benefits. The first is the map leading to Inai realm. The second is the qualification to enter Inai realm. Without the Heaven Sundering diagram, even if one reaches the entrance of Inai realm and has power comparable to an immortal emperor, one will not be able to enter Inai realm. Dame Yanji also says with a sigh, yes, The first effect of this inkwash painting is very good. Too bad it's the second effect. If I were a sword immortal, how good would that be? This is the most powerful sword technique for level 8 mystic immortals. On one side, Yenemo also pretends to sigh with emotion. Even though old Taoist Gansu and the others feel that something is not right, it is not good for them to ask. Qinyu, Yenemo, let's make a trip to Inai Yang's realm together sometime later, okay? Damien Ji asks in reply via holy sense communication. Yenemo is still pondering, but Qinyu refuses via holy sense communication. Damien Ji, we've already encountered so many dangers after entering this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. That Inai Yang's realm is Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's lair, so it's definitely 10 times, or 100 times more dangerous. With my power level, I'll definitely die if I go in. Qinyu lets both Dame Yenji and Yenemo hear him through holy sense communication. Yenemo also says via holy sense communication, Brother Qinyu's words are reasonable. Do you still remember Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's last words? Let me give you a word of advice. Practice a lot, and raise your power a bit before going in. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die. I almost died in this 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. If I tried in vain to break into Inai Yang's realm with my little power, perhaps I wouldn't even know how I died. Dame Yenji also remembers Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's last words. Even though Immortal Emperor Inai Yang often deceives people, Dame Yenji does not dare to disregard his last words of advice. Power. Even if one has a map and is qualified to go in, without enough power, even if one enters the lair of this super immortal emperor, perhaps one's life will be over. Qinyu, Yenemo. At that time Immortal Emperor Inai Yang once said that there's a unique treasure in this treasure-storing pavilion. It's more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. What do you think that treasure is? Dame Yenji says doubtfully via holy sense communication. In Dame Yenji's opinion, the Heaven Sundering Diagram is definitely more than 10 times more precious than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. After all, Inai Yang's realm is a place where even the immortal emperors of the immortal world would go crazy. Unique. Yenemo thinks for a while, then says via holy sense communication. If we're talking about 10 times more precious, this Heaven Sundering Diagram, just the map leading to Inai Yang's realm, and the qualification to go in, is already 10 times more valuable than an immortal mansion. But there are 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams. It can't be considered unique. It can't be considered unique. But what is the most precious treasure Immortal Emperor Inai Yang mentioned at that time? Since that thing is the most precious, could it be even more precious than the Heaven Sundering Diagrams? Qinyu has a flash of inspiration in his mind. He says via holy sense communication, I've thought of a possibility. These 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams were originally a whole. First, the 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams are a map when combined. Second, the 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams are the complete Heaven Sundering sword art. I think, in Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's eyes, the 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams are a whole. Perhaps he was talking about the Heaven Sundering Diagrams. That's possible. Yenemo also agrees. If there were only 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams, we wouldn't even know the location of Inai Yang's realm. Therefore, these 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams should be considered as a whole. That's the right understanding. In terms of preciousness, the 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams are naturally more than 10 times more valuable than the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. Dame Yenji cannot help giving a faint smile on her face. However, at this moment, old Taoist Gansu, Ida, Azure Dragon Yanlang, and Huaking continued to search carefully on the 2nd floor. Yenemo, why are you still standing? Yanlang frowns and looks at Yenemo. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang once said that the most precious treasure is unique. Until now, neither the Holy Beast collars, the 6 writing brushes, nor the 3 Heaven Sundering Diagrams are unique. So the last treasure must be hidden somewhere. All right, I'll look for it right away. Yenemo gives a smile, then immediately pretends to look for it too. Dame Yenji is also a smart person. If she does not look for it, other people will definitely be suspicious. Therefore, she also starts to pretend to look for it. Qinyu goes to the bookcase and starts to flip through those books. Oh, it seems some books don't belong to the mortal world. Qin discovers that there are even jade slips inside some books. Obviously, books alone cannot record many things. After all, jade slips have a much larger capacity than books. There is quite a bit of knowledge about the immortal world and other worlds in these books. Qin flips through these books, then immediately puts the ones he is interested in into his own spatial ring. When Qin is flipping through the books, and the others are flipping through other things. Lucky juniors, you've already taken away all the treasures in the treasure storing tower. It's time for you to leave. Get ready, all of you. The restrictive spells inside the treasure storing tower will be activated immediately. You'll be teleported out of the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion directly to that island with a very close teleportation formation. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's voice rises on the second floor of the treasure storing tower. Qin Yu, Damien Ji and Yen Mo are still somewhat prepared, but old Taoist Gansu, Huacan and the others are all shocked. Senior Immortal Emperor Inai Yang, we haven't found the unique treasure you talked about yet. Why are we leaving? Old Taoist Gansu says anxiously. Unfortunately, this voice is only a restrictive spell left behind by Immortal Emperor Inai Yang at that time, so it simply cannot answer. There is a flash in front of their eyes. Qin looks at various golden trees. The ground is a green lawn. The scenery here is so familiar. Obviously, this is the Golden Tree Island, with an ancient teleportation formation. Finally, they leave the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. Little brother Qin, leave your holy sense information. If there's anything, we can communicate through your transmitter. Damien Ji takes out a transmitter very amicably and gives it to Qin. Qin also takes out a transmitter. This trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion has resulted in countless casualties. From now on, the underwater Shuyao world only has the Blue Dragon Temple and the Stellar Tower. Reverend Yen Su is also missing from the Penglai Immortal region. The Purple Flame Devilish Dungeon is also missing from Situ Shui and Jiao Jiao, two great experts. Even quite a few loose immortals and loose devils have died. Everybody says goodbye to each other. Immediately, Qin and Li Er fly towards the Qianlong continent. Even though I haven't been in this Nine Swords Immortal Mansion for a long time, seeing this familiar ocean and breathing this familiar air gives me a feeling as if I've been away for ages. Qin says emotionally to Li Er in the sky. Li Er suddenly makes a flip of her hand. 3 writing brushes appear in her hand. Li Er, these are. Qin looks at those 3 writing brushes in shock. At first glance, he can tell that these 3 brushes are the same as the ones they fought over in the treasure storing tower. Li Er says laughingly, I was the first to enter the second floor, so how could I possibly be empty-handed? Of course I took something casually. Didn't you swear? I only swore that I didn't take that unique treasure. I didn't say that I didn't take a writing brush. Li Er says complacently. However, there is a hint of coquettishness in her tone. At the moment, Qin does not know whether to laugh or cry. There were originally 9 middle-grade immortal writing brushes, which happened to be distributed to everybody. Who could have thought that Li Er secretly took away 3 brushes at the beginning, leading to a fight over them? Suddenly, the black ring on Qin finger radiates various misty rays of light. Lucky Junior, congratulations. You've got the most precious treasure of the unique treasure storing tower. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang's slightly smiling voice is so pleasant to the ears in Qin mind. Chapter 217. Big Brother Qin, what happened to you? Seeing Qin current appearance, Li Er can't help asking anxiously and concernedly. Qin stretches out his hand to stop Li Er, because at this moment Immortal Emperor Inai Yang is telling Qin in his mind about this so-called unique and most precious treasure of the treasure pavilion. Junior, you're really lucky. When I left the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion at the bottom of the chaotic astral ocean, I once thought about whether to leave this Lord of Black Flame ring behind. After all, the difficulty level I set, you're not qualified to get this Lord of Black Flame ring. Immortal Emperor Inai Yang slowly says. Qin helplessly smiles bitterly in his heart. The hallucinatory magic land, the road to the underworld. Is this not dangerous enough? Especially the road to the underworld. Even if one's power is high, one will still die if one makes the wrong choice. So dangerous. This immortal emperor Yang actually thinks that this level of danger is not enough to get this Lord of Black Flame ring. However, Qin Yu finally knows that this ring is called the Lord of Black Flame ring. But then I thought about it. Luck is very important, so I put the Lord of Black Flame ring on the finger of my sculpture back. Ordinary people want to directly rush into the treasure pavilion to seize the immortal treasures. Being able to notice that ring shows that your luck is really good. Immortal Emperor Yang says with a smile. Qin Yu feels a bit strange. This immortal Emperor Yang seems to attach great importance to luck. The ring of the Lord of Black Flame is also an extremely precious treasure in the immortal world. This is the ring that I wore when I roamed the world. This ring itself was made by my good friend, an expert of the same level as me, Lord of Black Flame. So it is called Ring of the Lord of Black Flame. Immortal Emperor Yang explained the origin of this ring. Qin Yu silently remembers the name Lord of Black Flame ring in his heart. Since he's an expert of the same level as Immortal Emperor Yang, he must be a peak expert who can summon the wind and summon the rain. Storage-type immortal items are relatively difficult to make. This Lord of Black Flame ring is a high-grade immortal item, but in terms of preciousness, it even surpasses ordinary best-grade immortal items. Of course, the Lord of Black Flame's ring is a storage-type immortal item, so its attack power is not strong. But it has two auxiliary functions, both of which are Lord of Black Flame's consummate skills. Listening to the tone of Immortal Emperor Yang, it was obvious that he admired Lord of Black Flame's consummate skills. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has a storage space. At the same time, it had two auxiliary functions. One was the Heavenly Fire domain. The Lord of Black Flame was good at using flames. Originally, if a powerful person used the Lord of Black Flame's ring, they could use flames even more powerful than the Heavenly Fire. But generally, Heaven Immortals, and those below the Heaven Immortal realm, can only trigger the Heaven Flame stored in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. The stronger their cultivation base, the more Heaven Flame they can trigger. Qin Yu was overjoyed. Skyfire. This was a flame that even celestial immortals had to be careful of. The second function was the gravitational domain. If the Lord of Black Flame used the gravitational domain, he could even cause level 4 or 5 mystic immortals within the range of the gravitational domain to collapse because of the terrifying gravity. Immortal Emperor Yang sighed. Of course, the gravitational domain, attached to the Lord of Black Flame's ring, is only a formation set up by the Lord of Black Flame. As long as you input your energy into it, you can create the gravitational domain. The higher your cultivation base, the greater the gravity. As for the owner of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, of course, he would not be affected by the gravitational domain. The two functions were the Heavenly Fire domain and the gravitational domain. Qin Yu sighed in amazement. Heavens, what kind of expert was that Lord of Black Flame? Just by relying on the gravitational domain, he could cause level 4 or 5 mystic immortals to collapse, and even cause Yuanying to collapse because of the terrifying gravity. Alright, just now I was talking about some of the benefits of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, and I also left a map, Heaven Sundering Sword Qi, and a sentence inside. This map is the map that leads to Inai Yang's realm. Heaven Sundering Sword Qi. When you arrive at Inai Yang's realm, use the Heaven Sundering Sword Qi to cover an area, and you can cover your people inside. At that time, Inai Yang's realm will automatically suck you in. Of course, you can bring a maximum of 8 people, including yourself, that's 9 people. Qin Yu's heart shook. This Lord of Black Flame's ring, wasn't it just the 3 Heaven Sundering diagrams added together? Only when all the diagrams were added together would a map appear, and every diagram could bring 6 people, including the owner in. Not only did the Lord of Black Flame's ring have a complete map to Inai Yang's realm, it also had the Heaven Sundering Sword Qi, which could bring 9 people, including the owner. In addition to the 2 great domains of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, as well as a high-grade immortal storage immortal tool. In terms of preciousness, even the 3 Heaven Sundering diagrams added together couldn't compare. No wonder it was said that there was a unique, most precious immortal tool. At that time, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said that this immortal tool was in the treasure-storing pavilion of the inner hall, but he didn't say whether it was inside the treasure-storing pavilion or at its entrance. Even when they were in the treasure-storing pavilion, Qin Yu, Dame Yanji and Yan Mo still thought that the 3 heaven-sundering diagrams were the treasures mentioned by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Qin Yu suddenly became curious in his heart. Immortal Emperor Ni Yang said that he left a map, heaven-sundering sword Qi, and a sentence in the Lord of Black Flames ring. What was that sentence? As for that sentence, it's a sentence I left for you. Junior, I really hope that the person who obtains the Lord of Black Flames ring can obtain that treasure in Ni Yang's realm. Of course, I won't give you any hints. Everything will have to depend on your own efforts. All right, Junior, work hard. I hope you can do even better than me in the future. Haha. I, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang, use my heaven-sundering sword Qi to move unhindered in the 3 realms. Who would have thought that I would actually fall for that? Ha ha ha. Following his loud laughter, Immortal Emperor Ni Yang's voice disappeared. After leaving the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, some kind of restriction on the Lord of Black Flames ring should have been removed. At the moment, the true face of the Lord of Black Flames ring has been completely revealed. Qin Yu uses his holy sense to search the inside of the Lord of Black Flames ring, and discovers that there is only a map and a piece of paper inside it. On that piece of paper is a sentence left behind by Immortal Emperor Ni Yang. Junior, as your reward for obtaining the Lord of Black Flames ring, I'll tell you one thing. Anyone whose power level is lower than that of a Desheng stage Xiexionist will definitely die. The last sentence causes Qin Yu's back to break out in cold sweat. Anyone whose power level is lower than that of a Desheng stage Xiexionist will definitely die. Qin Yu believes that no matter how good this Immortal Emperor Ni Yang is at deceiving people, it is impossible for him to carelessly say the most important sentence he left behind for him. Moreover, he also has a feeling that Ni Yang's realm is definitely not a place that ordinary people can set foot in. The power level of a Desheng stage Xiexionist is the lowest threshold to enter Ni Yang's realm. Big brother Qin Yu, look at how happy your face is. What exactly is the good news? Li Er said with a smile. Qin Yu recovered from the joy of obtaining the Lord of Black Flames ring, and looked at Li Er who was beside him. Li Er, do you still remember that Immortal Emperor Ni Yang had once said that the treasure pavilion has a unique and most precious treasure? You're saying it's this ring? Li Er said in astonishment. Yes, it's this ring. This ring is called the Lord of Black Flames ring. It's a high-grade immortal storage immortal tool. Moreover, it has 2 special functions. One is the Heavenly Fire domain, and the other is the Gravity domain. Do you still remember the ink wash painting that I obtained at that time? Of course I remember. What's so special about that ink wash painting? Qin Yu and Li Er were flying high in the sky as they chatted. Qin Yu told Li Er that the ink wash painting was the heaven-sundering diagram and the information it contained. He even told Li Er about the Lord of Black Flames ring. This is the Heavenly Fire domain. Qin Yu used the Heavenly Fire domain with all his strength. Only his upper body was covered with a thin layer of heavenly fire. Between the heavenly fire and Qin Yu's body, there was a layer of invisible membrane. It should be the magical power that was displayed by the Lord of Black Flames ring. However, it only covered his upper body, and it was only a thin layer. Could this still be called a domain? Big brother Qin Yu, your power is really too weak. Even if a Desheng stage expert used the heavenly fire domain of the Lord of Black Flames ring, I estimate that it has at least a range of 2 to 3 meters. Li Er pondered for a moment and said. Qin Yu could only smile helplessly. It seems that when I go back this time I'll have to refine that yuanying and train properly. Qin Yu obtained that second tribulation loose immortal's yuanying. Moreover, after his trip to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu's soul has become even more solid, and has now reached the late Kongming stage. Qin Yu could calmly refine this yuanying completely. Big brother Qin Yu, try the gravitational domain again. Li Er reminded. This gravitational domain is related to the user's power. The stronger the power, the greater the gravitational force of the gravitational domain. Okay, I'll try. In fact, Qin Yu liked this gravitational domain even more. Although the heavenly fire domain is very good, in Qin Yu's opinion, when used in a real battle, the gravitational domain will have an unexpected effect. For example, when two experts are fighting, when Qin Yu rushes to the opponent's side, and the opponent is about to counterattack, a terrifying gravitational force suddenly presses down on him. Even if the gravitational force cannot kill him, just the binding effect of the gravitational force alone can greatly reduce the opponent's speed and combat power. Especially when used unexpectedly, the opponent does not know at the beginning. When used in a moment of life and death, the effect is even better. Qin Yu poured his power into the Lord of Black Flame's ring. In fact, the Lord of Black Flame's ring does not absorb a lot of power. The magnitude of the gravitational force is related to the purity of the power. The range of the gravitational domain is related to the amount of power poured in. Big brother Qin Yu, why are you standing there like a fool? Li Er said with a smile. I've already used this gravitational domain. It's just, I'm not very sure how powerful it is. Qin Yu said helplessly. After all, he is a caster. He cannot feel the gravitational domain. Li Er smiled. That's not easy. I'll just come in. Li Er, who was originally some distance away from Qin Yu, immediately came closer. Qin Yu hurriedly retreated. How can you do this? Li Er, if your body can't take it. It's okay. Li Er interrupted Qin Yu's words. I have a protective magic treasure. I definitely can't take any injuries. Moreover, the gravitational domain can't kill an expert of the same level. Didn't you just tell me that the Lord of Black Flame can only kill a level 4 or 5 mystic immortal? The Lord of Black Flame himself is at the same level as a level 8 mystic immortal, Immortal Emperor in Yang. Therefore, for this gravitational domain, firstly, I have a protective magic treasure. You can't hurt me. Secondly, it won't be too powerful. Hearing Li Er's persuasion, Qin Yu thought that it made sense. In that case, be careful, said Qin Yu. He then had Li Er approach him. Li Er smiled and stepped into the gravitational domain. This time, Qin Yu used the gravitational domain. With Qin Yu as the center, the gravitational domain was a circular area with a radius of 3 meters. The moment Li Er stepped into the gravitational domain, her body sank. Immediately, ripples appeared on the surface of her body. Qin Yu knew that those ripples were caused by Li Er's protective magic treasure. Qin Yu immediately withdrew the gravitational domain. Li Er said with a face full of smiles. Brother Qin Yu, this gravitational domain's power is not small. I estimate that it has at least several million gene of pressure. A Jin Dan stage expert will definitely die. Even a Yuanying stage expert will not be far from death if suddenly attacked. Even a Dongshu stage expert will probably be injured. Qin Yu smiled and nodded. He was very satisfied with the effect of the gravitational domain. The sudden appearance of several million gene of gravity was enough to injure a Dongshu stage expert. Even a Kongming stage expert would be caught unprepared. What Qin Yu wanted was precisely to be caught unprepared. In a life and death battle, this gravitational domain represented an opportunity to win. However, this gravitational domain must be kept a secret. If the enemy knew about it and was prepared in advance, it would definitely be less effective than if the enemy was not prepared. Times after flying for some time, Qin Yu and Li Er finally arrived at the Qianlong continent. Qin Yu simply does not know that ever since the Qin clan was overseen by the Stellar Towers experts and gained an absolute advantage in terms of Shangxian level experts, the Qin dynasty began to invade the Ming dynasty. The Qin dynasty's military power has also been demonstrated beyond doubt. Oh, it's the Qin family's army down there. Father and the others seem to be in the camp too. With a sweep of his holy sense, Qin Yu found Qin De's aura. He naturally felt strange. Even if it was a war, why did his father need to get involved? Li Er, let's go down. Qin Yu and Li Er directly swooped down from the 9th heaven. As they approached the ground, they saw the 2 valiant cavalry units in training constantly sprinting. A murderous aura emanated from every soldier. The murderous aura of one person was nothing. But the aura of more than 10,000 cavalrymen was also like this, which made them seem very valiant. Qin Yu and Li Er moved as fast as lightning and landed on the ground in a flash. The cavalrymen did not notice that someone was flying down from the sky. Qin Yu also chose a place to land. It was close to the commander-in-chief's tent. Lord Yu, the general of this army Wang Song, was shocked when he saw Qin Yu. He immediately knelt down on one knee. As a high-ranking figure in the Qin dynasty's military department, he knew very well how much power Prince Yu had. He knew that there were more than 10,000 upper immortals in the capital city back then. So he knew that. General Wang Song, don't make such a big fuss. I just want to see my father. Qin Yu nodded with a smile. The retired emperor and the others also came to the front line yesterday to take a look. I'll take you to his residence. General Wang Song regained his majesty and led the way in front in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Qin Yu and Li Er walked toward Qin Da's residence. Chapter 218. The place where the army is stationed is a plain. Of course, there are only tents here. Qin Da, Fenjiuzi and Su Yuan are leisurely walking north and south of the river. This time they are also on a whim, so they have decided to take a stroll around the front line. Su Yuan, my army has been stationed here for half a month now, but we simply haven't been able to take down Tieshu City. Tell me, is there any way to take down this city? Qin Da points to a city in the distance and asks casually. Qin Da is also asking casually. After all, the matter of taking down the city has little to do with him. Su Yuan strokes his beard and ponders for a while, then says smilingly, Retired Emperor, to take down Tieshu City. Seeing that General Wang Song hasn't been able to take down the city for so long, I think the only way now is to lure the enemy out. As for how to lure the enemy, it depends on the temperament of the enemy's commanding general. But maybe there are other ways. This depends on the information. I don't know the information about Tieshu City, so I can't make a reasonable judgment. Fenjiuzi suddenly says, Brother Qin, it seems that Senior Uncle Lan said Xiao Yu will come back in a few days. Yes, he should come back in a few days. Qin Da says with a nod, then immediately says with a sigh, Immortal Mansion, that's an immortal's mansion. How can it not be safe? Now I'm really a little worried about you. But Qin Da also knows that on the path of Xiuzhen, it is almost impossible to be safe in everything. Xiao Yu will definitely come back safely. Don't worry, retired emperor. Su Yuan persuades. Qin Da nods. Immediately the three of them take out a chessboard from their storage bracelets and start to play a big game. Father, Uncle Feng, Uncle Su. Qin Yu's voice rises. Qin Da, Fenjiuzi and Su Yuan all turn their heads to look. They see Qin Yu and Li Er very happily walking over side by side. General Wang Song slightly bows, then immediately leaves with a smile. Qin Da says with great joy, Qin Yu and Li Er went to explore Immortal Mansion. Qin Da was very worried in his heart. Now seeing Qin Yu come back safely, he is very excited. This is great. You finally come back safely. But that Miss Li Er's uncle was really right. Qin Yu gasps in admiration. What did Uncle Lan say? Qin Yu was puzzled. Little Yu, that Uncle Lan of yours mentioned the approximate date of your return. You should be back in the next few days. Just now we were talking about you. Who would have thought that you would really appear? Fenjiuzi said with a smile. Qin Da suddenly frowned and said, Don't you have two brothers? One is called Ho Fei, and the other is called Kuro. Yes, Imperial Father. Qin Yu suddenly asked in confusion. Imperial Father, did something happen to Fei and Xiao He? No, I didn't. Qin Da hurriedly says, then immediately says with a smile. Not long after you left the Qianlong continent, your Uncle Lan took your two brothers away, saying that they were going to a mysterious place to undergo special training. Qin Yu was stunned. A mysterious place? Special training? Only Uncle Lan took Fei and Xiao He? Qin Yu asked. Yes. Your Uncle Lan asked me to tell you that after you come back, you don't have to hurry to find Ho Fei and Kuro. It will take them a long time to come back. I estimate that this training will take 2 or 3 years. Qin Da said with a smile. A mysterious place, special training? Qin Yu frowned and looked at Li Er. Li Er also had a puzzled look on her face. Big brother Qinyu, I also don't know what mysterious place it is. Li Er really couldn't think of where Uncle Lan took Ho Fei and Kuro. After thinking for a while, Qinyu said with a smile, "Forget it. Since Uncle Lan said so, I don't need to worry about it. Fei and Xiao Hei are not weaker than me. They went to that mysterious place to undergo special training. I don't know what realm they will have reached when they come back. Father, I'm going to go back to Lei Mountain House to undergo closed-door training. I estimate that this closed-door training will take about a month," Qinyu said solemnly. During the trip to the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion, Qinyu has already discovered very clearly how weak he is. The so-called Third Tribulation Loose Immortals and Fourth Tribulation Loose Devils are. Perhaps they are only the tip of the iceberg on the Tung-Long continent. After all, this time the experts there didn't pay too much attention to this so-called immortal mansion. Before going in, who knew how extraordinary this immortal mansion was? Treasures or crimes? Although other people don't know that I have 4 middle-grade immortal weapons, and only 1 middle-grade immortal weapon, perhaps some 6th Tribulation or 7th Tribulation experts will come to make trouble for me. Even though he has returned safely, Qinyu has not relaxed at all. However, even if they want to make trouble for me, I'll have to see if they have the ability to do so. Qinyu is very confident. The Lord of Black Flame's ring has the field of heavenly fire and the field of gravity. Now Qinyu has a middle-grade immortal weapon and an ice-devouring lightning talisman given to him by Li Er. If he is careful, he can even put up a fight against a celestial immortal. Of course, it will be even better if Qinyu completely absorbs the energy of a second tribulation loose immortal, Yuanying. Okay, you can go into closed-door training at ease. Absolutely nobody will disturb you, Qinda said immediately. Qinda says at once. He also knows what kind of world Qinyu lives in, and what level of experts he knows. What Qinyu needs the most is to increase his power. In the capital of the Qin dynasty, outside Lei Mountain House in Prince Yu's mansion, "Brother Qinyu, you can go into closed-door training at ease," Li Er says with a smile. Qinyu, however, is not at ease. He tells her, "Li Er, if some powerful experts come and try to snatch that middle-grade immortal weapon, or that inkwash painting, don't resist them. Don't try to stop them. Just hand over his brush and ink painting to them." With that, an inkwash painting and a brush appear in Qinyu's hand. "Brother Qinyu, what are you?" Li Er opens her eyes wide. "Haha, Li Er. Don't tell me you don't know that map is hidden in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. This heaven-sundering diagram is not very useful to me. To be honest, it's not worth it for me to fight some experts until I bleed. As for this brush, even though it can turn into an immortal sword, and its power is not small, but, Li Er, you gave me 3 brushes. Plus the one I have, losing 1 brush is nothing. What's important is my family and you." Qinyu gazes into Li Er's eyes. "I don't want you to be in any danger." Li Er is moved. She is so moved that Li Er wants to tell the secret in her heart. However, when it is at the tip of her tongue, Li Er still does not say it. Because Li Er knows that it is better not to tell Qinyu the secret. "Brother Qinyu, thank you." Qinyu reaches out his hands and embraces Li Er. After parting ways with Li Er, Qinyu goes straight into the practice room in Lei Mountain House, and sits down quietly with legs crossed. A second tribulation loose immortal's Yuanying is almost as good as a middle or late Dujia expert's Yuanying. It should be enough for me to reach the late planet stage. Qinyu takes out the second tribulation loose immortals, Yuanying directly from the Lord of Black Flame's ring. Most of Qinyu's treasures are now in the Lord of Black Flame's ring. When Damien Ji was fighting with others in the main hall of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, in the end she did not find out why the Yuanying disappeared. The stellar transformations technique is now divided into 6 levels: Nebula, Lu Xing, Star Core, Planet, Tribulation and Star stages. Each stage is a transformation, and one's power will increase by leaps and bounds. However, Qinyu has only just entered the Star Core stage. He closes his eyes. Misty rays of light appear around Qinyu. They rotate like clouds. In the center of these cloud vortexes is Qinyu, who is radiating golden light. The second tribulation loose immortals, Yuanying also turns into various liquids and starts to rotate around Qin Yu's body. I'm really looking forward to seeing how powerful I'll become after entering that stage. Qin Yu cannot help giving a faint smile on the corners of his mouth. On the Tonglong continent, there are so many Xiaotianists that there are even over 100 million. However, the Qingshu Temple, which only has several tens of thousands of disciples, is the #1 Xiaotianist school on the Tonglong continent. However, the Qingshu Temple deserves to be called the #1 Xiaotianist school because it really has too many experts. Various palaces have been built on Mount Qingshu. At the gate of the palaces outside the Qingshu Temple, several disciples are carefully sweeping the ground. These disciples have just been accepted into the Qingshu Temple and are of the lowest generation. They have not even reached the Jin Dan stage yet. Hey, senior brother, when will master teach us Xiuzhen techniques? A 7 or 8-year-old thin boy with delicate features asks another boy of similar age beside him. Don't worry, junior brother. Being able to enter the Qingshu Temple is already a great fortune for us. We've only been here for a few days. As far as I know, after entering the Qingshu Temple, we won't be taught any techniques for the first month. Only afterwards will we be taught simple foundational techniques. In the first 3 years, you won't be able to practice any high-level techniques. This senior brother seems to know everything very well. The thin boy's big black eyes are filled with disappointment. 3 years? What do you know? Which disciple of the Qingshu Temple isn't an expert? Even though we only have several tens of thousands of disciples, and can't compare to the several hundreds of thousands of disciples of the Lanyang School and the Xiang School, our Qingshu Temple is still the #1 school on the Tonglong continent. Why is that? It's not only because of the techniques, but also because of the system. The 3 years we have to lay our foundations are used to train our temperaments. This temperament is very important to practice. The senior brother speaks frankly with assurance. Senior brother, you're so formidable. The thin boy's eyes brighten. Of course, not only am I formidable, but my cousin is even more formidable. My cousin entered the Qingshu Temple 5 years ago. Now he's reached the Jin Dan stage, and has even been trained as an elite disciple. This senior brother says with his head held high. Don't talk. Someone's coming. This senior brother says at once. At the moment, old Taoist Gansu is hurrying back on his immortal sword. At the same time, he has already informed the various elders and experts of the School of the News through his transmitter. Fellow Taoist, this place belongs to the Qingshu Temple. Outsiders are not allowed to enter without permission. This senior brother takes a step forward and says in high spirits. At the moment, he is very proud because he can finally speak with the name of the Qingshu Temple. The expression on old Taoist Gansu's face freezes. At the gate of his own home, he is blocked by a junior. However, at this moment, a series of footsteps are heard. Several tens Xiaotianists, who are dressed in Taoist robes and have long beards and immortal-like demeanors, walk out quickly. These several tens experts are none other than the Gan and Fan generation experts of the Qingshu Temple. Abbot, as soon as those 2 little boys see the leader, they are shocked and immediately stand aside. Uncle Master, this time you took risks for the sake of the Qingshu Temple and returned with a treasure. The leader is none other than Fan Ming, an expert of the Fan generation, and the current abbot of the Qingshu Temple. This abbot is not a formidable expert. He has only just overcome the 9th heaven tribulation. Abbot's uncle master? The 2 boys are stupefied. Fan Ming say no more. This time junior brothers Gan Ming and Gan Shan, as well as that Yin Su, have all perished. I was lucky to be able to come back this time. Otherwise you wouldn't have been able to see me. At the moment, old Taoist Gan Su still has lingering fear when he recalls his trip to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. Now he feels uncomfortable when he hears Fan Ming's flattery. The faces of those several tens people all change color. Junior brother Gan Su, junior brothers Gan Ming and Gan Shan are both dead? A loose immortal with fluttering white hair says in a slightly anxious manner. Yes, everybody, let's go back and talk. This place isn't a good place to talk. Old Taoist Gansu says at once. These several tens people then walk straight towards the main hall of the Qingxi Temple. 2 loose immortals of the Qingxi Temple have died in a short while. This is an extraordinary event. In the main hall, old Taoist Gansu tells the story completely. Those disciples of the same generation, or a generation lower than him, all tremble in their hearts as they listen. The appearance of Dame Yanji, those 3 great experts of the Dragon Clan, and the road to hell are all very shocking. Uncle Master, this immortal mansion unexpectedly belongs to an immortal emperor. This is really too shocking. Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. If I had known earlier that this immortal mansion was left behind by him, I would have asked the seniors of Heavenly Palace to get into action. Abbot Fanming says with a sigh. After hearing this story, everybody is shocked by the frightening elemental holy, or in the Qingyu immortal mansion. They also feel their hearts palpitate because of this immortal emperor in Aiyang's capricious mood swings. After entering the immortal mansion, an immortal emperor's hints are half right and half wrong. This is absolutely fatal. For example, Immortal Emperor in Aiyang said that the Peach Blossom Spring was very safe, so Reverend Shui Ro and the other experts chose it. But in fact the Peach Blossom Spring is a land of death. As soon as you enter it you will die. There is no chance of survival at all. Phew! A gust of wind blows. All the experts in the main hall look towards the entrance. They see a thin old man with fluttering white hair standing at the entrance of the main hall. Uncle Master Huan Xian, old Taoist Gansu, and the other experts of the Gan generation say in shock. They all know that this Uncle Master Huan Xian is an expert in the most important place of the Qingxi Temple, the Heavenly Palace. Unless something major happens, the people of the Heavenly Palace will not come out. Even the abbot cannot enter the Heavenly Palace at will. According to legend, the Heavenly Palace can connect to the immortal world. Gansu, just now you said Immortal Emperor in Aiyang? Loose Immortal Huan Xian confirms again with a face full of impatience. Yes, the master of that immortal mansion is none other than Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. What's the matter? Old Taoist Gansu says doubtfully. Huan Xian says excitedly. Good, this is really very good. Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. It really is Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. This is great. He is extremely excited. He then says at once, Gansu, follow me to the Heavenly Palace now. My Uncle Master wants to see you. Old Taoist Gansu feels his heart stop beating at once. Huan Xian's Uncle Master wants to see him. Chapter 219. Heavenly Palace is located at the peak of Mount Qingshu. It is shrouded in clouds and mist all year round. The outside of Heavenly Palace is set up with the legendary immortal formation. Even 12th Tribulation loose immortals can only dream of breaking into it by force. Only 4th Tribulation loose immortals and above can the Qingxi Temple's disciples live in Heavenly Palace. Outside Heavenly Palace, Huan Xian is walking in the formation as if he is taking a leisurely stroll. He easily leads old Taoist Gansu along the safe path of this formation. Huan Xian does not have a high status in Heavenly Palace, but he is often sent down to pass messages to the members of the Qingxi Temple, so naturally he is very familiar with this formation. Uncle Master Huan Xian, do you know why Grand Uncle Master wants to see me this time? Old Taoist Gansu asks Huan Xian in a low voice, feeling very nervous. Huan Xian's face is flushed. Haha, Gansu, I shouldn't have let you know about this, but you'll know in a while, so I'll tell you in detail. He has been very excited ever since he learned that the master of that immortal mansion is Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. At Huan Xian's level, there weren't many things that could excite him. Old Taoist Gansu's eyes brighten. Gansu, you've really done a great service this time. Do you know a long time ago, my Qingxi Temple, the Lanyang School, the Ziyang School, and some other ancient schools all received an order from the immortal world. Huan Xian's eyes glitter. The immortal world. Perhaps it is the place every Xiaxianist wants to enter the most. An order from the immortal world? Old Taoist Gansu holds his breath. The immortal world ordered that anyone who obtains information about Immortal Emperor in Aiyang must report it to the immortal world right away. Those who perform meritorious deeds will be rewarded by the immortal world. At the same time, the The members of this school in the immortal world will also be rewarded. Huan Xian's face reddens with excitement. There are very many mortal worlds below the immortal world. Not only the universe where Qin Yu lives, for example. The universe where Qin Yu's master Lei Wei lives is also a mortal world. This Qingshu temple is outstanding on the Tunglong continent, but it is only a very weak power in the immortal world. If it can be rewarded by the immortal emperor who sent the order, the entire Qingshu temple will have a bright future, and the status of its elders in the immortal world will also rise. Gansu, if you make a contribution this time, you'll be the greatest contributor to the Qingshu temple in the last 1 million years. Huan Xian says while staring at old Taoist Gansu. At the moment, old Taoist Gansu feels that his throat is very dry. The greatest hero of the Qingshu temple in the last million years? Even those seniors in the immortal world would benefit from it? This glory makes old Taoist Gansu dizzy. Cultivators had a strong sense of belonging to their sections. For cultivators, a sect was like a home to mortals. It could benefit the elders of the school and raise the status of the entire Qingshu temple in the immortal world. Who else in the past million years had this kind of glory? Alright, stop daydreaming. We've arrived at Heavenly Palace. Hurry up and follow me, Huan Xian said with a smile. At the moment, Huan Xian and old Taoist Gansu are standing in front of a 9-story palace. Mount Qingshu is very tall. The place where this heavenly palace was built is already surrounded by clouds and mists. Furthermore, this heavenly palace is even radiating bits of light all over. Old Taoist Gansu steps into heavenly palace with excitement and uneasiness in his heart. Every senior in this heavenly palace is his senior, so how can he dare to be careless? Master, I've brought Gansu here. When Huan Xian reached the 3rd floor of heavenly palace, he stopped. At the moment, a white-robed middle-aged man is standing on the stairs. This man is none other than Huan Xian's master, Du Nan, a 6th tribulation loose immortal. Heavenly Palace has a clear hierarchy. Given Huan Xian's power and status, he can only go up to the 3rd floor at most. In the past, a mere 3rd tribulation loose immortal like Gansu would have had to salute the seniors on each floor when he came in. But today is different from the past. Old Taoist Gansu stepped into this 3rd floor directly without meeting any seniors. You're Gansu? Good, come follow me. The white-robed middle-aged man is very happy to see Gansu. He immediately takes him upstairs. This time, they reach the 7th floor of Heavenly Palace. Uncle Masters, I've brought Gansu here. Du Nan says with a bow outside the door of the 7th floor. That door is opened, and a woman with her hair tied up walks out. Seeing Gansu appear, her face is immediately filled with a smile. Du Nan, seeing this Gansu come here, I knew that your report was true. Quick, Gansu, follow me. That woman holds Gansu's hand and leads him enthusiastically to the 7th floor. For 1,000,000 years, a 3rd tribulation loose immortal has been able to go up to the 7th floor of Heavenly Palace. Even if this is not the end, it is at least unprecedented. After all, even a 6th tribulation loose immortal like Du Nan still cannot go up to the 7th floor. At the moment, old Taoist Gansu is very well behaved, like a child being held by an adult. Junior sister, Gansu has come? 3 men walk out. All of them are loose immortals. At the moment, they look at Gansu with blazing eyes. Gansu is nervous like a little girl who has been raped. He knows very well that Huan Xian is his senior, and Du Nan is Huan Xian's master. To be addressed as Uncle Master by Du Nan means that the people here are obviously at least of the Shan generation. He, Gansu, has never seen a senior of the Shan generation in so many years. Disciple Gansu of the Gan generation pays respect to you, Grand Uncle Masters. Gansu kneels down with both knees and kowtows at once. These 3 men and 1 woman calmly accept Gansu's kowtow. Immediately, the leader of the 3 men and 1 woman says smilingly, Gansu, tell us in detail. Do you really know information about Immortal Emperor in Aiyang? Old Taoist Gansu says respectfully, the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion I entered belongs to Immortal Emperor in Aiyang. Immortal Emperor in Aiyang also said that he was a level 8 mystic immortal. Moreover, according to a middle-grade immortal weapon I obtained. He was also a sword immortal. Level 8 Mystic Immortal Sword Immortal. The 3 men and 1 woman stopped breathing at once. Even though they know this immortal emperor in I Yang's name, they do not know that he is so terrifying. Given their status, they know that immortals are divided into 3 levels: Immortal, Golden Immortal and Mystic Immortal. Each of these 3 levels represents a different status. Immortal immortals can be seen everywhere and are worthless. Golden immortals belong to the upper echelons and are talents roped in by some powers. As for mystic immortals, they are all qualified to call themselves immortal emperors. There are 9 levels of mystic immortals in total. Level 8 Mystic Immortals are at the peak of the immortal world. Not only is he a level 8 Mystic Immortal, he is also a sword immortal with extremely strong offense, and has long been lost on the Tung-Long continent. Don't waste time, senior brother. Quickly let Gansu send this information to the immortal world. If other schools get this information first, it'll be too late for us to regret it. That woman sobers up from the shock of immortal emperor in I Yang's power, and says hurriedly. The leader of the 3 men wakes up and says hurriedly, "Right, quickly, Gansu, quickly follow me up to the 9th floor." If other Xiaxianist schools send this information to the immortal world at this moment, it'll be too late for us to regret it. If the immortal world wants to know about immortal emperor in I Yang, the first person who tells the news will naturally be rewarded. However, the second person who tells the news will receive no benefits at all. Gansu does not dare to disobey, so he hurriedly follows this Shan Generation senior upstairs. The other 3 Shan Generation experts also follow behind Gansu. Granduncle Master. This time the Xiaxianists who went to the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion are all dead except for me. Old Taoist Gansu says softly, as if he is afraid of scaring the others. What? Shan Chu looks at Gansu in shock, but he wakes up in an instant. A big smile immediately blooms on his face. Haha, so the other Xiaxianists are all dead. Very good. Since that's the case, they definitely won't be able to tell the immortal world about immortal emperor in I Yang before us. Immediately, Shan Chu regains the demeanor of a loose immortal expert and leads Gansu up to the 9th floor of Heavenly Palace step by step. The other 3 Shan Generation experts also let out sighs of relief. Very few of the many loose immortals in Heavenly Palace have ever come up to the 9th floor of Heavenly Palace. But this 3rd tribulation loose immortal Gansu has gone straight up to the 9th floor on his first day here. This alone is enough for him to be proud of himself and leave his name in the history of the Qingxi Temple. The other 8 floors of Heavenly Palace had rooms, but the 9th floor was empty. There was only a huge matrix in the middle of the 9th floor. Just by looking at the symbols, one could tell that it was very complicated. The energy was even stronger. Gansu, follow me into this formation. Shan Chu says and steps into the formation with a step. Gansu also hurriedly stepped into this formation. Shan Chu's whole body gives off a terrifying aura. Various streams of energy are injected into this formation. Immediately, this formation starts to light up and then dim down. Only after quite a while does it light up completely, when Shan Chu's forehead is covered in sweat. Members of the Qingxi Temple? Oh, what do you want from me? An indifferent voice rises through the entire 9th floor. Shan Chu says respectfully at once, I am Shan Chu of the Qingxi Temple. A disciple of my temple has obtained information about immortal emperor in I Yang. We also know that the immortal world wants to know about immortal emperor in I Yang. So You said immortal emperor in I Yang? Are you really talking about immortal emperor in I Yang? The voice, which was indifferent just now has become hurried. Juniors of the Qingxi Temple, this matter is really too big. Don't lie. If you do, it won't be enough even if the entire Qingxi Temple is destroyed. Shan Chu panics inwardly and immediately looks at Old Taoist Gansu. Old Taoist Gansu says hurriedly, I am Gansu. I was lucky enough to enter Immortal Emperor in I Yang's 9 Swords Immortal Mansion. In the 9 Swords Immortal Mansion, I obtained information about Immortal Emperor in I Yang. Tell me, what information do you know about Immortal Emperor in I Yang? That voice asks. Immortal Emperor in I Yang is a level 8 mystic immortal, and a sword immortal. Gansu hurriedly says. That voice is obviously full of excitement. Haha, yes. Immortal Emperor in Yang is a sword immortal, and a level 8 mystic immortal. This is the information that Emperor you gave me. Ordinary immortal emperors don't know about it. You, a brat from the mortal world, know about this information. Looks like it's true. Haha. This immortal world man is obviously very happy. Very good. But this matter is really too big. I have to report it to Emperor Yu. This matter must be decided by him. All of you stay there. If Emperor Yu has an order, I'll contact you and pass it on to you directly. After saying that, voice disappears. The formation also becomes dim. But on the 9th floor, the faces of Shan Chu's 4 martial siblings and Gansu are all full of joy. Judging from that immortal world man's reaction, it is obvious that this immortal emperor in Yang is precisely the person the immortal world is looking for. Who is Emperor Yu? Shan Chu also feels extremely excited in his heart. Since he's called emperor, he must be an extraordinary figure in the immortal world. Shan Chu is very certain in his heart. Qianlong Continent, Qin Dynasty's capital, Prince Yu's mansion, in Lei Mountain House. After practicing for almost half a month, Qin Yu has finally reached the peak of the late core stage. By now, Qin Yu has already made preparations to break through the late core stage and reach the early planet stage in one go. In Qin Yu's Dantian, that golden sphere at the early core stage has now become black, and even its heat is not strong anymore. However, Qin Yu knows very well that the peak core stage stellar core is almost 10 times more powerful than the golden one at the beginning. Only now its energy is restrained. With the stellar core as the core, it absorbs countless stars and gathers them together to form a planet. The most important thing in practicing the planet stage is the holy energy of nature, which is the holy energy of all living things in the world. Let the planet be filled with the holy energy of nature, and be filled with the power of life like a planet inhabited by mortals. The originally calm Dantian changes the moment Qin Yu breaks through. Countless stars, which originally revolved according to the shape of a nebula, crazily gather towards the black stellar core in the center in an instant. The stellar flame also rushes into the interior of the black stellar core. Everything becomes agitated. When everything calms down, in the universe of Qin Yu's Dantian, there is only one planet. In the depths of this planet is the stellar core. In the very center of the stellar core is the stellar flame. At the moment, the stellar flame has already broken through the dark blue color and turned light purple. The expression on Qin Yu's face is calm. His hands form a complete handprint, and then he slowly stretches out his hands. At this moment, Qin Yu's mind completely leaves his body, as if he has completely merged with the whole world. The feeling that I am the heavens, and the heavens are me makes Qin Yu's whole soul tremble. His eyes can't help but become moist. The entire planet in Qin Yu's Dantian trembles. Bits of green appear on the surface of the planet, and bits of holy energy of nature are produced on the planet in Qin Yu's Dantian. However, at this moment, Lu Xing's tear, which has been integrated into Qin Yu's body, and Qin Yu has been unable to control it, suddenly flies out of Qin Yu's body. At this moment, Lu Xing's tear is so dazzling, emitting a green brilliance. This Lu Xing's tear directly flies to the top of Qin Yu's head, and then floats there. Lu Xing's tear slowly rotates above Qin Yu's head. In the process of rotation, the tear of Lu Xing emits bits of green light, which drips onto Qin Yu's body like snowflakes. The bits of green light integrate into Qin Yu's muscles, meridians, and bones, and the planet in Qin Yu's Dantian. Chapter 220. As the green light spots fuse with Qin Yu's muscles, Qin Yu's muscle cells continuously rupture and regenerate, transforming again and again, as if they have taken growth hormones. The firmness of his body is increasing at a terrifying speed. Not only his muscles, Qin Yu's meridians and Qin Yu's bones and tendons are also undergoing tremendous changes. Just like steel, Qin Yu's bones are also undergoing astonishing changes time and time again. Their sturdiness is also increasing unceasingly. This kind of increasing speed has simply reached an unheard of level. Every part of Qinyu's body is improving at a terrifying speed as the green light spots fuse with it. Qinyu's mind is completely merged with heaven and earth. He is quietly feeling the vastness and naturalness of heaven and earth. He simply does not notice the changes in Lu Xing's tear, and does not notice that astonishing changes are happening to himself. In Qinyu's Dantian, there is only one planet in his Dantian. This planet was formed by the black nucleus absorbing countless stars, and is also the core of Qinyu's energy. At this moment, the surface of the planet is producing specks of green. However, when the green light spots of Lu Xing's tear fuse with it, the planet has undergone tremendous changes. In the past, there were only specks of green, but at this moment, the entire planet was rapidly covered in green at a visible speed. In just a short while, there was a dense heaven and earth spirit qi, and this heaven and earth spirit qi was purer than the heaven and earth spirit qi outside. Lu Xing's tear is still floating above Qinyu's head and rotating slowly. Specks of green light spots float down and enter every part of Qinyu's body. These specks of green seem to have a magical power, causing miraculous changes to Qinyu's entire body. Perhaps even 12th tribulation loose immortals and loose devils would not be able to explain all this. After a long time, Qinyu's body stops transforming. At this moment, Qinyu's body has become tenfold or even hundredfold stronger than it was in the past. However, green light spots are still falling from Lu Xing's tear. Qinyu's body could no longer absorb the energy and transform. Green dots of light floated down and merged with Qinyu's muscle cells, hiding in every part of Qinyu's body. Since his body could no longer absorb it, he could only store it in every part of Qinyu's body. It was not only Qinyu's body that had changed. Qinyu's soul was also undergoing a rapid change. It was unknown whether it was because Qinyu had merged with the world, or because of Lu Xing's teardrop, but Qinyu's soul was rapidly solidifying, and the soul power within his mind was becoming purer and stronger. Qinyu felt the planet in his Dantian shake. The feeling of being one with the heavens and earth disappeared. Lu Xing's tear once again entered Qinyu's body. The tear of Lu Xing did not seem to have any changes despite emitting so many green light spots. What happened? As soon as Qinyu scanned the inside of his body with his holy sense, he was greatly astonished. Perhaps even Yin Mo's black dragon body was far inferior to Qinyu's current body. Qinyu felt that his entire body was filled with tremendous power. This power was so great that Qinyu's heart trembled. What's actually going on with my body? Even though the stellar transformations can temper the body, it shouldn't be so astonishing. Perhaps now I can fight against Duji stage experts only by relying on my body. Qinyu was astonished in his heart. However, was it really as Qinyu had guessed? At the moment, Qinyu still did not completely know that his body was so astonishing. The planet in his Dantian has unexpectedly been completely covered in green. The holy aura of the world is actually so pure? Qinyu was even more astonished. During training at the planet stage, the transformation of the star core and the change of the holy aura on the surface of the planet usually happen together. As one's power deepened, the star core would become hotter and hotter. At the same time, the holy aura on the surface of the planet would become denser and denser, and more green would appear. However, at the moment the planet's surface was completely covered in green. Being completely covered in green meant that one had reached the late-stage planet stage. However, the star core inside the planet was only slightly dark red, which meant that Qinyu's true strength was only at the early-stage planet stage. After all, at the late-stage planet stage, the star core was like a fireball. What's going on? What happened? Why did the surface of the planet in my Dantian suddenly reach the peak of the planet stage? It's full of holy aura, and it's even denser than the late-stage planet stage, described in the stellar transformations. However, the star core is only at the early-stage planet stage. Qinyu was at a loss. Compared with the energy in his body, the strength of Qinyu's muscles and bones at the moment was even more terrifying. Why was this happening? Qinyu still could not understand. When did my soul become so condensed? This level should be at the late-stage tribulation stage. When Qin Yu checked his soul, he was shocked again. The fusion of one's mind with heaven and earth would indeed increase the degree of condensing one's soul. However, in the past, Qin Yu's soul was almost at the late-stage Kongming stage. Qin Yu's soul had made a breakthrough in the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion's hallucinatory demonic realm. Even if it had fused with heaven and earth, it should have been at the early-stage tribulation stage. However, the degree of condensing one's soul at the moment should be at the late-stage tribulation stage. Is all this due to the fusion of my mind with heaven and earth, or? Qin Yu looked at his chest. This mysterious thing. Qin Yu only thought of Lu Xing's tears. Even now, Qin Yu still could not figure out the mystery of Lu Xing's tears. Then, Qin Yu stopped thinking about it, and continued to absorb the Yuanying energy to cultivate. Almost half a month later, at the moment, the holy energy on the outside of the planet in Qin Yu's Dantian is extremely pure. The core of the planet in the depths of the core is radiating blazing energy like a fireball. The stellar flame in the deepest part of the core is almost purple in color. Late-stage planet realm. After absorbing the Yuanying energy of the second tribulation scattered immortal, Qin Yu finally reached the late-stage planet realm. Qin Yu stood up with an excited smile on his face. When Master reached the mid-stage tribulation passing immortal stage, he easily killed Desheng stage experts, and so many tribulation passing immortal stage experts. In the end, he even went through the 9 from 9th heaven tribulation. Now, if I use the energy of the Sun True Core, it will be easy for me to defeat tribulation passing immortal stage experts. If I rely on the 2 fields of the Lord of Black Flame's ring, it won't be impossible for me to defeat Desheng stage experts. The star core of the planet in his Dantian was now like a fireball. In the stellar transformations, the star core that had reached the state of a fireball was called the Sun True Core. During the tribulation passing immortal stage, the focus of cultivation was the Sun True Core. When Lei Wei reached the mid-stage tribulation passing immortal stage, he easily killed so many experts by relying on the power of the Sun True Core. Compared to Lei Wei in those days, Qin Yu also has the Lord of Black Flame's ring and a middle-grade immortal weapon. If he uses all of them, it will indeed not be difficult for him to deal with Desheng stage experts. However, at the moment Qin Yu does not know that apart from the Sun True Core and the Lord of Black Flame's ring, he also has a middle-grade immortal weapon. Apart from the ice-devouring lightning talisman, he also has a body with terrifying offensive power. Without experiencing a real battle, it will be very difficult for Qin Yu to understand how formidable his body, which has been transformed by Lu Xing's tears, is. The Tenghuang continent. In the heavenly palace on Mount Qingshu, the 4 loose immortal experts of Shanchu and Gansu have not dared to leave the 9th floor of this heavenly palace all along, because they are waiting for orders from the immortal world. But this kind of waiting is the most unbearable. All of a sudden, various beams of light shine from the densely packed seals in the middle of the formation. The eyes of the 4 Shan brothers and Gansu brighten at once. Shanchu and Gansu immediately step into that formation. They have been waiting for this moment for a long time. Listen up, disciples of the Qingshu Temple. Be respectful at once. The master who came to ask you is Emperor Yu's right-hand man. He's much more powerful than ordinary immortal emperors. If anyone dares to annoy him, even I will make your Qingshu Temple suffer the consequences. Not to mention him getting into action. That voice which was talking to the Qingshu Temple rises. Hearing this, Shanchu is immediately frightened and nervous. He hurriedly says, "Don't worry. We definitely won't dare to make him angry. We'll definitely tell him everything clearly." Good God. The one who asked them is unexpectedly an immortal emperor-level expert. Moreover, he is much more powerful than ordinary immortal emperors, and is Emperor Yu's right-hand man. How powerful is he? What level of mystic immortal is he? All right, wait quietly. My master will be here in a minute. After saying so, that voice disappears. Shanchu and Gansu wait quietly. In this formation, the 2 of them do not even dare to breathe loudly. After all, the formation is still connected at the moment, so even if they breathe, perhaps the immortal world will be able to hear them. If they annoy an immortal emperor-level expert, they will be in trouble. Even though the conversation has only been going on for a while, each day feels like a year to Shan Chu and Gan Su. Disciple of the Qingxu Temple, Gan Su, I heard that you know some information about Enai Yang. Is it true? A lazy voice rises. It has finally come. Gan Su takes a deep breath, then says respectfully at once. Disciple Gan Su indeed knows some information about immortal Emperor Enai Yang. Oh, tell me about it in detail. That voice is still lazy, seemingly unconcerned. But just by listening to that voice, old Taoist Gan Su has a feeling of being oppressed. That is the natural aura of a person in a high position. Old Taoist Gan Su says carefully. My lord, a few days ago, I entered the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion with some Zionist. In the process, I learned some information about immortal Emperor Enai Yang. That immortal Emperor Enai Yang claimed to be a level 8 mystic immortal. From the immortal weapons we obtained, we determined that he was a sword immortal, because the writing brush he left behind contained extremely fierce sword energy. Oh, the lazy voice continues. Tell me about the process of you entering the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion in detail. Also, tell me about those treasures you obtained. Yes. At that time, quite a few people and I entered the Nine Swords Immortal Mansion. As soon as we did, we fell into the hallucinatory magic land. Oh, hallucinatory magic land? That lazy voice says in surprise. Then you entered a palace called the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, didn't you? Gan Su says happily. Yes, the Immortal Mansion we entered afterwards was the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. At first we were still fighting over that mansion guarding steel. Only in the end did we know that the core of the Qingyu Immortal Mansion was a piece of elemental holy essence. There is a hint of delight in that lazy voice. Yes, at that time Enai Yang even showed off to us when he forged the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. It was really made with elemental holy essence as its core. Now this immortal emperor-level expert already believes Gan Su. All right, you don't need to talk about what dangers you passed. Tell me about those treasures you obtained. Now the lazy voice is somewhat serious. Gan Su also feels that the atmosphere has become tense. He answers at once. At the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, they should have given us this immortal mansion. Too bad we didn't find any elemental holy essence. When we got to the treasure-storing tower in the inner hall, we got a holy beast collar on the first floor, and a middle-grade immortal writing brush, and an inkwash painting on the second floor. But there were only 3 of those inkwash paintings, so I didn't get any. Oh, let me ask you, did the writing brush and the holy beast collar leave any information about the Enai Yang realm behind? That voice has become completely serious without the least bit of laziness. Gan Su takes a deep breath. He is extremely nervous because of the pressure contained in those words. No, the holy beast collar and the writing brush were only ordinary immortal weapons. There was nothing special about them. Only some sword energy was left behind by the writing brush. When old Taoist Gan Su says to this point, he suddenly remembers the appearance of Dame Yanji, Qin Yu and Yan Mo, when they were wild with joy after obtaining the inkwash paintings. My lord, I have something to say. It might have something to do with the Enai Yang realm you mentioned. Gan Su says respectfully. Oh, quickly say it. That immortal emperor says hurriedly. At the moment his mind is completely focused on what Gan Su said. My lord, when we were on the second floor of the treasure-storing tower, 3 of us obtained the inkwash paintings. When they obtained the inkwash paintings, they were so wild with joy that their whole bodies were even trembling, and their faces were filled with blood. At that time I found it very strange. They've seen the Qingyu Immortal Mansion and other treasures. What kind of treasures could make them so excited that they forgot themselves? I think this might have something to do with the Enai Yang realm you mentioned. Old Taoist Gan Su says nervously. That voice, however, goes silent. After a while, who are those 3 people? That immortal emperor asks. Old Taoist Gan Su hurriedly says. Of those 3 people, one is from the Dragon Clan. One is an expert from the Inua Palace, a big Xioma sect, and the last is only an ordinary expert. But he has a loose immortal behind him, an extremely formidable loose immortal. The Dragon Clan, the Devil World, perhaps they'll report back to the Demon World. and the devil world as soon as they get back. It's a bit troublesome. There's only a loose immortal behind this third person? There is a hint of disdain in that immortal emperor's voice. The Qingxu Temple, listen up. You must obtain the inkwash paintings of the third person at all costs. We'll compensate you 10-fold, or 100-fold for everything you've lost. We'll also bestow you even more treasures. Compensate you 10-fold, or 100-fold for everything you've lost. Bestow even more treasures? Shan Chu is overjoyed in his heart. He says at once, "Don't worry, my lord. I'll set out with my 3 martial brothers and sisters right away. We'll definitely obtain that inkwash painting at all costs. Even if he's a 12th tribulation loose immortal, our Qingxu Temple will still do everything possible to obtain it at all costs. For the sake of the Qingxu Temple's future, the Qingxu Temple, which has been passed down for 1,000,000 years, has already decided to risk everything." Chapter 221. In the headquarters of the Dragon Clan, Yen Mo is sitting on a black wooden chair, with a solemn expression. "Mo, are you finally come back?" A golden-haired old man looks at Yen Mo and says smilingly, "This golden-haired old man is none other than an elder of the Yen clan, an 8th tribulation loose demon. In the Dragon Clan, in terms of nobility, the highest is the Golden Dragon Clan. Silver dragons and black dragons come in second, followed by azure dragons, red dragons, purple dragons and other dragon species. This 8th tribulation loose demon golden dragon has an extremely high status in the Yin clan. Of course, there are also emperors in the Golden Dragon Clan, the 5-clawed golden dragon. However, 5-clawed golden dragons are too rare, so they cannot be counted as a clan." Yen Mo takes a look at the golden-haired old man and suddenly says with a smile, "Third elder, the place Yen Lang went to just now seems to be the sacred place of the clan, right?" "Yes." Third elder strokes his long golden beard and nods smilingly. "The sacred place should be able to communicate with the immortal world." Yen Mo seems to have a card up his sleeve. As soon as Yen Lang came back and mentioned Immortal Emperor in Aiyang, you guys became so nervous and immediately let him enter the sacred place. But after a while, the dignified third elder unexpectedly personally came to talk to me, a mischievous junior of the Black Dragon Clan. Yen Mo stares at third elder. "If you say you don't have any special purpose, do you think I'll believe you, third elder?" "Emor," third elder says gratifyingly. "It's very hard to really grow up under the wings of the elders. Those descendants living inside the Dragon Clan are far inferior to you in both scheming and temperament." "That's right. I did come to find you for a special purpose. I hope you can give that inkwash painting to our entire Dragon Clan. It has something to do with the Inayang realm?" Yen Mo guesses. A smile immediately blooms on third elder's face. Just as the seniors of the demon world expected, this inkwash painting really has something to do with the Inayang realm. Third elder didn't lie to you. This Inayang realm involves a lot, and isn't something ordinary loose immortals and loose devils can get involved in. You'd better not get involved in it. When Yen Mo mentioned the Inayang realm, he had already made up his mind. "I have 2 small conditions," Yen Mo says calmly. "Speak." Third elder says smilingly, "I can browse through the clan's secret collections, and I can enter the dragon pool to train at any time. I believe that these 2 conditions are far less precious than the value of an ink painting." Yen Mo says calmly. He knows very well in his heart that he won't be able to protect such a treasure, like the inkwash painting, even if he keeps it with him. Therefore, he might as well exchange it for some practical benefits. He could browse the clan's treasures to his heart's content and cultivate in the dragon pool at any time. Perhaps other than the gold dragon, all the other dragons dreamed of these 2 points. Golden dragons had inherited memories, so they didn't need to learn the secrets of the dragon race. As the noblest dragon race, it was their right to cultivate in the dragon pool. However, the black dragon and silver dragon did not have this opportunity. "All right, I agree." Third elder nodded. Yen Mo took out the inkwash painting and tossed it to the third elder. The moment the third elder caught the inkwash painting, He couldn't help but feel slightly excited. Yen Emo stood up and prepared to leave the hall and head back to his residence. However, when he reached the threshold of the hall, Yen Emo suddenly turned around. Third Elder, let me ask you something. What kind of treasure does this Inai realm actually have? Yen Emo asked the Third Elder. He had always been puzzled by this question. The Third Elder received the inkwash painting and said smilingly, Emo, let me tell you, the treasure in the Inai realm is something that even the Dragon Emperor of my dragon race, one of the top super experts in the demon world, wants very much. Don't you think this treasure is very precious? Oh. After getting the answer, Yen Emo turned around and left. Emo, don't you regret giving this inkwash painting to me? If you go in and check it yourself, you might be able to obtain that treasure. After all, this kind of supreme treasure can only be obtained by those who are fated to obtain it. The Third Elder says with a faint smile. If you have the life to take it, you have to have the life to use it. With my little power, even if I obtain a more formidable treasure, I still won't be a match for you, Third Elder, let alone for Head Elder. But the chief of my dragon race is even more formidable than Head Elder. Right, the low-grade immortal weapon that Yen Lang gave me to use at that time belongs to me now. Yen Mo's voice arrives, but he has already left. At this moment, 6 or 7 old men walk out from the back of the hall. The one in the front is wearing a golden crown on his head. Even his eyes are golden. Chief, this inkwash painting is actually the Heaven Sundering diagram, one of the maps leading to the Inai realm. If you have this inkwash painting, you can enter the Inai realm with 6 people. Otherwise, even if you find the Inai realm, you won't be able to enter without the inkwash painting. The Third Elder says with a bow. The strongest clan in the dragon race is the Ao clan, followed by the Yin clan. This chief of the dragon race is neither from the Ao clan nor the Yin clan, but he has obtained the respect of all the dragons. This is because this chief of the dragon race is the emperor of the golden dragon race, a 5-clawed golden dragon. I remember that child Yin Lang said that of the 3 inkwash paintings, one is with us, one is in the Inua Palace, and the last one has fallen into the hands of a youngster called Chinyu, right? The chief of the dragon race says with an indifferent smile. Chief, what you mean is to seize Chinyu's Heaven Sundering diagram. The Third Elder guesses. The chief of the dragon race shakes his head and says, no need. Having one Heaven Sundering diagram is already enough for us. As long as we have one, no matter what, we'll be able to reach the Inai realm and enter it. What's the point of wasting energy to fight for it? Those who want to fight for it are probably loose immortals, and some loose demon experts. That youngster Chinyu, obtaining the inkwash painting, is it a blessing or a curse for him? The chief of the dragon race sighs. He is actually sighing for Chinyu. Times not only the dragon race, the immortal world, the demon world, the devil world, and the mortal world all have communication tools. The news of immortal Emperor Inai naturally spreads to the top very quickly. The big shots of the immortal world, the demon world, and the devil world also start to order the experts under their control to seize the inkwash painting. A storm is brewing. However, the main character of this matter, Chinyu, is instead enjoying life to the fullest with Li Air at the moment. In the Qianlong continent, the autumn wind is bleak. Yellow leaves are floating down. Chinyu and Li Air are sitting under a big tree that can be encircled by 3 people and playing Go. After Chinyu finished his training, he and Li Air are traveling all over the Qianlong continent. They are either at the peak of a snow-capped mountain, or in the depths of 1,000 miles of pine trees, or at the bank of a jade lake, or next to a mountain stream and waterfall. Big brother Chinyu, I have news about Fei and Xiaohei. Li Air places a black piece and says with a smile. Chinyu's hand pauses, a happy expression gushes out from his face. Really? At that time, Uncle Lon said that he would take them to a mysterious place. Where is that place? Also, when will Fei and Xiaohei come back? Chinyu now wants to see his brothers immediately. I also don't know where it is, but Fei and Xiaohei are now very powerful. According to Uncle Lan's news, they should have almost reached the early stage of passing calamity. Li'er says with a smile that is not a smile. Big brother Qinyu, as the big brother, you can't lose to your two brothers. You have to work hard. Early stage of passing calamity? Qinyu is surprised. Others don't know the strength of Hou Fei and Kuro, but Qinyu is very clear about it. Hou Fei and Kuro's soul realm is far slower than Qinyu's. But why is it that in these 2 years, Hou Fei and Kuro are faster than him? From the early stage of Dongshu to the early stage of passing calamity, this speed is a bit too terrifying. After all, Kuro and Hou Fei's soul cultivation is not as abnormal as Qinyu's Lu Xing's crying speed. But how can Uncle Lan lie? Doubt. Qinyu's heart is full of doubts. Of course he is happy that his brothers are improving. But why are they improving so fast? Li'er they. Big brother Qinyu, don't ask me. I also don't know what method Uncle Lan used. When you see Uncle Lan, you can ask him yourself. Li'er says with a charming wink. Qinyu gives a smile. Why should he care so much? The more powerful his brothers are, the better. Li'er, our next stop should be the Ming Dynasty's territory. Where do you plan to go first? Qinyu's mind turns back to their sightseeing trip. You decide. During the period when Qinyu came out of closed-door training, Azure Dragon Yin Lang communicated with Qinyu through their transmitters. Since the 9 Spirits Hall and the Blue River Province have been destroyed, this underwater Xiuyao world will naturally be divided between the Stellar Tower and the Blue Dragon Temple. After a discussion, the number of caves under the Stellar Tower's command has been expanded to 18. This is the result of the Stellar Tower annexing the 9 Spirits Hall and a small part of the Blue River Province. Even so, the number of caves under the Stellar Tower is still a bit less than that of the Blue Dragon Temple. But now that the Stellar Tower has 18 caves under its command, it is already much more powerful than it was in the past, so naturally it has more horses. At the moment, 4 rainbows are shooting extremely fast towards the north in the sky above the ocean. Xiationists will naturally be able to tell that these are the flying rainbows of experts. These 4 experts are none other than the real experts of the Qingxi Temple, Shan Chu and his 3 junior brothers and sisters. Shan Chu is an 8th Tribulation Loose Immortal, and his 3 junior brothers and sisters are 7th Tribulation Loose Immortals. An 8th Tribulation Loose Immortal, and 3 7th Tribulation Loose Immortals. Moreover, the 4 of them have practiced for over 10,000 years, so naturally, they have a joint attack formation. They are not afraid, even if they encounter a 9th Tribulation Loose Immortal. Senior brother, what's the background of that loose immortal called Uncle Lan? I've already talked with the seniors of the Qingxi Temple in the chaotic astral ocean. It seems they've never heard of such a formidable loose immortal. One of Shan Chu's junior brothers, Shan Nian, asks doubtfully. That's right, senior brother. According to Gansu, this loose immortal called Uncle Lan is very likely to be able to forge middle-grade immortal weapons. That Stellar Tower woman whom Gansu and the others met had a protective magic treasure that simply ignored Hua Can and Hua Lan's attacks. That magic treasure should be a middle-grade immortal weapon. Shan Ming says, forging middle-grade immortal weapons is really too difficult. Even in the chaotic astral ocean, perhaps the number of people who have middle-grade holy weapons can be counted with 2 hands. Of course, this does not mean that those who do not have middle-grade immortal weapons do not have the power to forge middle-grade immortal weapons. 10th Tribulation Loose Immortals have the power to do so, but almost none of them have middle-grade immortal weapons, because the materials and forging methods used are rare. No matter how formidable he is, we won't necessarily be able to meet this loose immortal expert. Even if we do, presumably he'll know the name of our Qingxi Temple and the reputations of our seniors. I believe he'll also know what to do. Shan Chu says indifferently, the experts of the Shan generation are not the most formidable of the Qingxi Temple. Loose immortals who have reached the 4th tribulation of the Qingxi Temple can enter Heavenly Palace. But not all of them have entered Heavenly Palace. Many formidable loose immortals have entered the chaotic astral ocean. After all, the chaotic astral ocean has many treasures of nature, and even elemental holy rock. The chaotic astral ocean is a treasured place suitable for loose immortals, loose devils and loose demons to practice. This is also the reason why Shan Chu dares to say that their Qingshu temple can obtain an inkwash painting even if it is a 12th tribulation loose immortal. The Stellar Tower. Now the Stellar Tower is much more powerful than it was in the past. The number of guards has even reached 200,000. Various discipline guards are training underwater. Some Zuyuist experts are even supervising everything. With the rise of the tide, the greater the influence, the more experts there would be in the Star Pavilion. 200,000. What a huge number this is. Just by forming a square formation, they are so densely packed that one cannot see the end of them. The Stellar Tower itself contains the Great Heavenly Stellar Formation, so these 200,000 guards will form a part of the formation when they return to their residences. Even though most of them are in the Jin Dan stage or Yuanying stage, once they return to their positions, their combined power will be fused with the Great Heavenly Stellar Formation. Perhaps even loose immortals will not have an easy time against it. The Great Heavenly Stellar Formation has been lost in the Xiuzhen world for a long time. Qin Yu of the Stellar Tower, quickly come out. A deep voice resounds through the several hundred li radius around the Stellar Tower. At the same time, that voice is still reverberating non-stop at the bottom of the ocean. All the guards of the Stellar Tower immediately become alert. The numerous guardians also become vigilant. Pass down my order. The newcomer should be a top expert. All guards return to their positions and prepare to activate the Great Heavenly Stellar Formation right away. The Stellar Tower's manager Yezhong's face changes color, and he immediately gives an order. Just sensing the energy contained in that voice makes everybody's heart tremble. Shan Chu originally wanted to give the newcomer a shock, but who could have imagined that he would scare Yezhong so much that he immediately prepares to activate the formation. Oh, this Stellar Tower is so strange. Shan Ming, the only woman among the 4 loose immortals, says doubtfully as she looks at the Stellar Tower. At the moment, the Stellar Tower is illusory. An ancient and vigorous aura blows against the face. As soon as those 200,000 guards enter their residences, they immediately fuse into a part of the formation and become inseparable. The power of the Stellar Tower's formation immediately rises a lot. Even though there are a lot of people in a formation set up by some mediocre Zuyuists, how can they compare with me, an 8th tribulation loose immortal? Shan Chu waves his hand. A white sword ray shoots directly at the main gate of the Stellar Tower. It is none other than Shan Chu's immortal sword. With a rumbling sound, the light of the Stellar Tower's formation unexpectedly changes several times. Obviously, it is still somewhat difficult for it to withstand the attack. But in the end it still withstands it. Who's the newcomer? He's actually able to shake this great formation. In the main hall of the Stellar Tower, the manager and the guardians are sitting with legs crossed. Their faces all change color greatly when they feel the formation shaking. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.